You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real.
Yeah. Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed!
Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Good morning.
Is it not a good morning, Rob Brown?
Not if you are Adrian Griffin, former head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, fired after 43 games despite a 30-13 record and holding on to the second place in the Western Division.
Maybe he has weird hair or something.
Nope. You know what? I feel like we can talk about this on the radio show today, on a sports talk radio show, theoretically speaking.
It is a sports-related story, I think.
Sure is. And I think potentially, perhaps, our dear listeners may give us permission to talk about these things.
Yeah, I'm disappointed I couldn't break news to say that Ava Raine has been installed as the youngest general manager in wrestling history, and was handed the baton by William Regal. I just wanted to get the wrestling in there out of the way to see if that one dude's up this early.
That one dude. Good morning, that one dude. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. The Rob Brown Radio show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. That guy over there is the great one, Lonzo.
Nope.
You're not?
I'm not me today. No.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right, so that's like a mix of me and Tim. That's awesome.
That's remarkably spot on.
I'd be offended if it wasn't true.
Good to have you guys. Welcome in. 4-hour sports talk extravaganza begins now. That is the Rob Brown Show. Rob and Lonzo, happy to have you. We've got a day lined up for you. Yesterday, so before I got out of here, because how else to start the sports talk radio show but to not do that? Yesterday, you guys that have followed the show for any length of time know that there are a few things in the world that genuinely get under my skin, right? Genuinely bug me.
Yeah, I'd be one of them, but yeah.
No, you don't get under my skin. Just some of your takes do. There's a difference. Can love the guy without loving the take, and I do. One of the things that absolutely sets me off every single time it happens, without fail, without question, is people who can't park their car between the damn lines.
Please tell me it wasn't one of our employees.
So yesterday I went downstairs after the show. Got a bunch going on this week. I'll be on the call for Furman tonight on on color commentary, along with Tom Van Noy. I've got a couple of things with the hockey team, couple of client meetings this week. I am running in and out of this building all week. And yesterday, when we got done with everything, and I went to take off, I went downstairs, and when you know it, one of our dearly beloved fellow coworkers is almost a full tire into my parking spot. And it's on my driver door side. Now, for those of you that I have not had the pleasure of meeting in person yet, the first thing that you will notice about me is that I am, and this is true, much like Jason Kelsey, a fat bearded American.
I thought you were going to say color coordinated because you are. I mean, if you're not,
I am that too.
Yeah.
I am that too. I accessorize very well.
So you're a mix of Jason and Travis.
Yes.
Okay. All
yes. Right. But in the demographic side, I'm much more Jason than Travis, as again, a fat bearded American. And so when our dearly beloved colleague had his car tire width into my spot, and I could not open my driver's side door far enough to get in, I had, at that moment, a decision to make. a decision A, which was go around, climb in through the passenger side, climb over the top of the center console in the rig, and just shut up about it. Or B, walk inside, confront said coworker and be like, dude, can you come move your car? I can't get into mine. And know that they're going to go, dude, just climb over, man. What are you doing here? You know? And feign an injury. Oh, I'd love to do that, bud, but my knee hurts.
See, I beg to differ. You're trying to say that someone who works at this fine establishment is not caring enough to help his fellow employee out by just going back in his car out.
Let me tell you what actually ended up happening. What actually ended up happening is I walked upstairs because I did need to go pop by the big boss's office before I got up out of here, right?
Or the person works upstairs.
Right. But I needed to go see the big boss's office. Lonzo, you know, I hate confrontation. Here's what actually happens in the real world. What actually happens in the real world is I shut the hell up, climb over the passenger side, and leave. Okay? I don't like it. But I'm like, you know what? If I see this individual, if I see this person, then I'm just going to be like, hey, man, I really hate to ask. Can you move your car? You're like all the way in my spot. I can't get in mine. Do you mind? Right? So I walk up and talk to the big boss. And as I'm leaving his office and I'm walking back down the hall, who turns the corner but said driver of said vehicle? And I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, I
gotta say something.
I saw who parked next to
Oh,
you.
you know who it is. I see said driver of said vehicle. And so that we're clear, I'm on a very good relationship with this guy, right? Like we're dogs. We dap it up. We're boys. Every time I'm on the other side of the office, down on the admin side, this guy stops me and we talk football. He turns the corner. He looks at me and he's like, dude, I know I'm in your spot. I'm really sorry. I was late dropping off my kid. I was late getting to work. I had a Zoom with some of the big big bosses in a meeting. I as soon as I got out of the car, I'm like, oh, terrible parking job. But I had like 2 minutes to get in, get upstairs, set my stuff down, log on my computer, jump on a Zoom meeting, and present myself to people who dictate my future. And I was like, all right, man, that's understandable. That's cool. That's fine. And then he's walking back to the office. And like, you can't be mad at the guy now, right? Guy's got to drop his kids off. He's got this big meeting. He's probably nervous as hell about it, right? Lonzo and I are two of the most confident people in the world until the boss goes, please stop by. Then not so much, right? I'm like, I get it. I understand. And then as I'm walking down the hallway, the only thought I have is, if you just do it right the first time. Like, can you not color in between the lines?
So you talked about, what a nice individual and all that kind of stuff.
As soon as I got back outside and saw it again, I was like, what are we doing, man?
Let me direct you to a spot. There's a spot. Yeah, I know you got to walk an extra, 15, 20 feet.
No.
If you park,
do not place the responsibility on somebody else for someone else's inability to park.
All right, I'm going to place the responsibility on one of the first people who gets here and has especially on this side of the building, can pick any spot they want.
Correct.
But instead they pick the spot, one of the most narrow spots where it's nearly impossible.
It's the same size.
No, this entire size. Those out there are bigger. The one over next to the tree has an extra clearance of 3 feet on either side if you park in the middle.
Then who is the responsibility on? The guy who's in between the lines or the guy who never is?
I guess we're finding out that you don't really try to avoid conflict, because if you did, you'd park in that spot and there's no way anyone could park that close to you.
No. The responsibility should not be on me to walk an extra quarter mile across the parking lot because other people can't put 4 tires inside of 2 white lines. No, you are asking me to change my behavior when I'm the one that's not doing anything wrong here. That's not how this works.
Then obviously you're not the avoider of conflict that you have the picture you painted. It's an untrue picture.
No, I am, because the
picture is a lie, man.
And I never say anything unless it just has to be said. In fact, if we're being if we're keeping it a buck here, as the kids say, there's a 95% chance that had he not brought it up, I wouldn't have said anything. I just got in my car, popped in, been aggravated for 5 minutes.
All
got
right,
home,
all right. What
seen
you're
my
really
dog,
mad
and be
about?
fine.
What you're really mad about is he didn't go down and move it. After telling you all that, he didn't go down and move
Bro,
it.
your meeting is over and you know that
See,
you're
I knew it.
outside of the line. Go
I
move
knew
your
it.
car.
I knew it. Go move your car.
Go move your car.
Steps are
Because
hard.
it's not just me that's parked next to you and can't get into my car. It's whoever shows up to work next. That's the spot closest to the door, right? If you do that on the quarter-mile far side of the parking lot, it is what it is. But you parked in the spot closest to the door. What if the next person to show up to work is somebody that maybe doesn't have a handicap sticker, but their ankle's jacked up?
Every one of you who park close to the building have never truly been fat. If you had, you would understand that those spots, I was here when they painted them because I've been here forever, that they're too narrow and that just, right across the parking lot, like 2 car lengths.
And yet
If they're sideways, all those spots have plenty of room. You park over there.
Yes.
You avoid the problem.
If you can't park between the lines,
you are
then
the
take
guy-
your ass over there.
You are the guy who will drive around the parking lot at a grocery store for 10 minutes looking for that spot a little bit closer, even though you're going to go in and walk for like 25 minutes.
Correct. 100%.
That's crazy.
100%. And I shan't apologize. I won't. You want to knock me
Fellow
for being
employee,
lazy?
if you are listening, any fellow employee, if you're on your way into work and you hear what Rob is saying, always park that way next to him.
Yeah, no, for sure. Go ahead, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. There's going to come a day in the future where somebody, not me, because I just bought that car and I'm going to be paying it off for the next 5
All
years.
the more reason to park in a spot where people won't hit it. But that's just me,
No, I should be able, in a decent American society, to trust that my fellow drivers are capable of putting their car in between lines. If you can, the number one thing on the driver's test should be, can you park in between the lines? And the minute that you can't, you are on a 5-year waiting list to get your license.
Since the day of horses, parking crooked is the American way. If you don't like it, move to Canada.
No,
I'm sure they park straight in Canada.
I'm not going to let you spin that as the narrative. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to let you spin that as the narrative. That is not true.
That you have solutions to the problem, but you want everyone else to fix it and not
The
you?
solution is put your car between the lines. It's not hard. I do it every day. And if I miss, you know what I do? I back the car up and I do it again until I get it
if
right.
you miss, I'm taking pictures and it's getting posted.
Fine. You ever go down there and find my car outside of the lines? Feel free to put me on the blastest of blast.
Well, it's I'm usually here when you're gone, so I would actually
You
have
show
to
up
leave
here.
early.
No, you show.
I do get here a little bit later than
90%
you.
Of days when
You-
you get here, I'm already here.
You're right. Not this
so
week,
if you
but yeah.
see that, feel free to call me out. I accept, because it won't happen.
Thank you, Michael Vincent Paul Kickbush. Thank you. That's exactly what you do. You park further away when you got a nice car. You don't park closer and dare everyone to ding it.
You're victim blaming.
You're
all victim
daring
blaming.
everyone. Here's my nice car, ding it. That's what you're saying.
You're all victim blaming. You're all victim
You want the
blaming. And I
dings.
won't stand
You
for
want
victim blaming.
you want the dings.
No.
You like them
No,
dings.
I want people to park in the damn lines.
Okay.
That's all I want.
All right.
It's not that hard.
Okay.
It's not.
It is hard.
Listen.
It's very difficult.
It's not. And if you can't do it, stop driving. Take the bus. Take a bike. Whatever. Walk. But if you can't put your car between the lines,
I'm gonna send a
one
copy
day-
of this segment to that person and say, "See what you did."
So much for our good relationship. All right. We got a lot of show to get to today, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of stuff to talk about. As we mentioned just a minute ago, we did have I'll say this. It's a very interesting story. It's a very interesting story in that a head coach who had his team in second place in their conference in the NBA has been fired. And the popular discussion that's popped up is, oh, this is just proof that the inmates run the asylum in the NBA.
Could
And I'm going
be-
to tell you it's not.
Could be something else going on that we're not privy to.
I know what it is. I'm going to tell you what it is coming up later on in the show. The Major League Baseball Hall of Fame class of 2024 has been announced. Adrian Beltre is in. Joe Mauer is in. Todd Helton is in. And that's it. That's the list. 3 guys getting the 75% mark from the Baseball Writers of America voters. Absolute dorks that they are. Just 3 guys getting into the show. And at least 2 off the top of my head that I think it is unforgivable that they did not get in on this ballot. We'll talk about that later on in the radio broadcast. We'll talk some NFL. Yesterday, an ESPN personality who shan't be named said that without Deebo Samuels, the San Francisco 49ers cannot beat the Detroit Lions. Can't do it. Is that true? Is that accurate? We're going to talk about that later on in the radio broadcast. And on top of all that, coming up in a little over an hour from right now, we play our favorite game of the week, Overreaction or Makes Sense. We gathered some sports takes from around the social media sphere. Lonzo and I will take a look and decide, all right, is this a valid opinion? Or is it just a little bit too far? We'll do all of that and more. So when we come back here in just a minute, I have a task for you, an assignment for you, Carolina Panther fans. I have a task that I would like to see if you're capable of doing it. Not because you're incapable, but because it's a real difficult task. Lonzo and I are going to try it as well.
Oh, no.
I know. And we're going to do that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I had to push the button.
Real sports talk for real sports fans.
The
Stop
Fan
asking me to
Upstate.
change
The
my
sports
behavior.
voice of you, the
To excuse the
Upstate fan.
behavior of that.
844 fan phone. That's 844-326-3663.
The Fan.
Upstate.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolinas' most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Some showers possible
The
today,
people that are
otherwise
being talked
cloudy with a
about
high nearing
as
52.
currently
Rain
directing the
likely
ship
overnight
that is the
tonight, mostly cloudy
WWE.
with a low of 51.
Inaccurate? And
Showers
how
and
is that
thunderstorms throughout
then?
Thursday with a
Now
high
that
of
you
65, and more showers throughout
All of that
Thursday night with a low around
continues
60.
Triple H.
And showers on Friday. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster on the Fan Upstate. Currently it's 46 degrees.
So when I was an agent, my prior profession, and I was
Do you
trying to
have
get
3
into the
ex-wives
WWE
and your
business,
current trophy
called
wife
and
wants a
told
life
me
insurance policy
unsolicited
3
call,
times the
and this
size
is
of the
when Tim
policies you had to
Tebow had
purchase
just
for your
gotten
previous
cut by the
mistakes?
Patriots?
If so,
Paul
you need to
called
call
me and said,
Big
"Hey, I just wanted
Lou
to
at
introduce
Term
myself
Provider,
to the WWE
800-700-6898.
and
Big
called
Lou is
the
intimately
unsolicited
familiar with
call,
your
and
problems.
this is
And if
when
you're
Tim
50 or
Tebow
60
had
years
just
old and in
gotten
reasonably
cut by
good
the
health, a
Patriots
$1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
You can make the decision right now to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain for 2024. Hey, it's Charlie James. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knee or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and
What
QC
could have
Kinetics
been?
can make it happen. No drugs,
What could
no
have
surgery,
been?
no downtime.
There's no
The
denying
future
that
of
Tim
pain treatment
Tebow
has
is a great
arrived.
athlete.
QC has tens
And
of
what he
thousands
could
of
have done
satisfied patients
in the
all over America, people
WWE
with back pain,
I've been
hip
president.
pain,
that
any
might
pain associated
have
with
made
arthritis
Rob
or
Brown
pain.
like him.
This is not a band.
I do
This
like
is
him.
a
That's what it might have been.
revolutionary
Yeah,
treatment
Tim
that
couldn't play
can get
football,
your
but look at what he's
And listen,
doing
it's
in
non-surgical.
wrestling.
If this year is the year you
He
decide to
could have
fight back
been
against that pain,
Jake Paul
take
before
the
Jake
first step
Paul.
now. Call
There are a
QC
lot of
Kinetics.
good guys.
Get a free
that are bad
consultation
football
on the
players
calendar
that I
today.
like, but
Call
know they're bad at football. And a lot of bad people
864-448-3772.
that
That's
are good football players.
448-3772
I'm tired of
in
all of us
Greenville and in
pretending that
Asheville.
Ray Lewis is like
864-448-3772.
now.
You are
Welcome to the Ingalls Table, a delicious destination with
generalizing,
recipes
saying
galore.
all of us.
Need to whip up a dessert?
I
Entree?
mean,
side
the
dish?
Mannings
No
had him on
problem.
and were just
The
buddy
experts
with him.
from
I
the
was
Yeah,
Ingalls
well, he
Table
played
take
for
you through it
Baltimore,
step by
so,
step
you
with
know,
expert tips and
whatever.
advice along the way. Find the Ingalls Table at ingalls-markets.com or swing by the store and
So
pick up your free
don't
copy
group
of the
me
Ingalls Table
in.
magazine. And let's get cooking. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Anjali.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just
See the
got an
rumors
alert
of
for a strange
Okada
charge
to
on my card.
NXT.
I
No
did see
problem.
that.
We
That's
make sure you're
interesting.
never held responsible for
If
unauthorized
NXT starts
purchases
pulling
on your
some of
Discover
the
card. Let's see. Did
New
you
Japan guys
purchase
away from
something a
AEW,
T-shirt cannon store
AEW's in
yesterday?
trouble.
Absolutely not.
It's a CW
No, I
deal,
already have
man.
like 3.
You know, you would be on the CW.
It
New
pays to
Japan
discover.
with
Learn
the
more at
opportunity to wrestle on
discover.com/credit
the
card.
CW.
Limitations
Also,
apply.
might have to watch Impulsive just to watch John Cena on
Don't miss out on
See
limited
who's
time
it.
appliance
Yeah,
deals
but
during
every
the closeout
time
event at Lowe's.
that
Get up
a
to 35% off select
just
major
about every time
appliances.
someone's on there,
Plus,
Jake
save an
Paul
extra
ends up wrestling.
$100 when you spend $999 or more on all major appliances. Hurry,
So, I was
these
thinking
deals
about
are
this
too
last
good
night.
to last long. Shop on
Rumbles
today
themselves.
because Lowe's knows
We
home
only have 2
improvement.
matches
Valid
on the card,
1/4 through
right?
1/24. Selection
We
varies
have
by
Owens
location.
Paul.
While supplies
Jake
last.
Paul,
See Lowe's.com for
And-
details.
No, there's more than that.
Sponsored by
We have
ChumbaCasino.com.
Owens Paul. We
Introducing
have
Chumba Casino, the thrilling online social
What else?
casino that's free to play. Head on over to
'Cause
ChumbaCasino.com
Rollins doesn't
now to
have
join
one.
in on the fun. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Take control of your listening experience with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Missed a jaw-dropping moment? No worries.
Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton
Rewind.
versus
Yep.
LA Knight
That's
versus
segment from Mark
AJ
Ryan, Rob
and
Brown,
Logan
Jim
Paul
Rome, and
versus
more.
Kevin Owens.
Just hit Rewind with the Odyssey app on the Fan Upstate.
Which is fine, 'cause those
Your
take
guide to the gridiron.
Unless they add something
and
Friday.
The keeper of all
They
things
could.
cool in the sports world. This is the Rob Brown Show. Oh yeah, Lonzo's here too. This is the Fan Upstate.
So, friends, I have a task, a challenge for you, if you will. We have been talking about the Carolina Panthers head coaching quest for some time now. Honestly, since the departure of Frank Reich 11 games into the season, but certainly since the end of the regular season for Carolina. And I think it has been, for us, a narrative that this job was likely the most unappealing in the National Football League. The Chargers job looks better. I've told you in the past, I honestly think the Atlanta Falcons job might be the most attractive job outside of LA, with the difference being LA has their quarterback. I think it's less attractive than the Washington job. I think it's less attractive than the Seattle job. Now, most of us have been in a spot before where we have had to try to get a new job. And one of the most difficult things to do when you're in the quest for a new gig is to dress up the resume. It's to make yourself look better than you actually are. It is to create the most flattering and impressive version of yourself so that when you get the opportunity to speak with someone that is a potential employer, they see the most shining version of you. And you do stuff like use all of the upgraded corporate speak in order to make the jobs that you have done look more complicated and important than they are. I once implemented an Illuminary system designed to provide maximum benefits to those who I've installed a light bulb, right? It's like you dress these things up. It's part of the job hunting process. So Here is my task to you. After we have now spent 3 weeks consistently talking about how David Tepper is, or at least has been to this point, remarkably difficult to work for. There are stories coming out of the HQ about that. You look at the roster is atrocious, right? We've been talking about how unappealing this job is. Here is my task, my challenge for you specifically, those of you that are Panthers fans. Make this job look attractive. Make this job look attractive. Tennessee, the Titans, are still negotiating with Brian Callahan. Now, I do find it interesting. It has been 2 full days since we heard that Brian Callahan, the Bengals offensive coordinator, was in negotiations after his second interview with the Tennessee Titans. I have told you Callahan jumped to the top of my wish list for that job. But from what I understand, they're going through the process. Probably by the weekend, Brian Callahan will be named the HC of the Tennessee Titans. What blows my mind about that is, as I have said in the past, I thought that Tennessee would be the one job that I could argue was less attractive than Carolina's. They got a rookie quarterback in Will Levis. Maybe he's the guy, maybe he's not. I don't know that we've seen enough to say. They've got an older quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, but they are not great in terms of cap space. They have got a roster that is losing Derrick Henry. With the loss of Derrick Henry, that means there's going to be other guys that want out as well. So my question was, why is it that Tennessee not only got a guy before Carolina, a team that had been on the hunt for weeks and weeks and weeks now, that does not have an established quarterback, that is losing their Pro Bowl running back, that does not have, although it is a good defense, the defense Carolina has, why is it that Tennessee was able to get their guy that quickly while Carolina is not only still in the hunt, but they're connected to effectively one offensive name right now, and that's Dave Canellis, the OC for Tampa Bay, who has a close personal relationship with Dan Morgan, the new general manager. How's that go? And the thought I had last night is, how wasn't it going to go that way? Because even those of us who want to see this team succeed, and I know that many of you think that I do not, I very much do. I want this team to succeed because, again, I'll make more money if they do. And I'm nothing if not a fan of the cash, baby. So, I think when you when you have folks like us, people who want this team to succeed, hell, need this team to succeed, and we have spent, as long as we have spent, absolutely poo-pooing the job. Good luck working with Tepper. What a terrible place to be. It's got to be awful to be a head coach there. Yada, yada, yada. How in the hell do you expect to attract anybody? So, with that being the mindset here, I would like to ask you to make this job attractive. Give it the old refreshed resume treatment. What would you say if you got the opportunity right now to speak to your head coaching candidate of choice? Whether it's Callahan or Canellis or Evero or Harbaugh. There's a little bit of news update on Jim Harbaugh from yesterday, by the way. But regardless of who your HC candidate of choice is, what would you say to that individual to try to get him to come down to Charlotte? What would you say to that individual to try to get him in the fold as the new HC. So I sat around last night and I came up with a couple of mine here, Zoe, and I want your thoughts on how I did. The first thing I'm leaning on, and this may or may not be your first priority depending on who you're talking to, but honestly, whether it is an offensive or defensive tinted coach, one of the first things I am throwing out, actually scratch that, the first thing I'm throwing out is what this defense looks like right now. You've got Derek Brown. That guy might be the best defensive tackle in the league right now. You've got J.C. Horn, who, when he's been able to stay consistently healthy, has been breakout. And I have made the argument in the past that the training staff there has got to be discussed. And with a complete and total shakedown of this franchise, that's going to happen. You've got Brian Burns. Now, you're likely going to have to franchise that guy. You're going to have to tag Brian Burns. I'm working under the assumption that Derek Brown will get the first of the two extensions. You'll then have to tag Brian Burns. Hopefully, Brian Burns is going to play hard under the tag to either earn an extension or a fatter contract elsewhere next year. You've got Brian Burns, who, by the way, was quoted not terribly long ago as saying that he told the team that they should, quote, leave the defense alone, end quote, which means the locker room is intact. All but 4 of your starters from last year are set to return next year. The only guy that is a big name that as of right now is a threat to walk is Frankie Louvu. Because you can't tag 2. If you could, you'd tag Louvu. But there's a rollover here. The second most attractive thing to me about Carolina is this. According to Roster Management System, the Carolina Panthers have $26.1 million in cap space available. That is not a ridiculously large number, okay?
It's definitely not enough to fill all the holes.
It is not. It is not. But what it is enough to do is to talk to an offensive-minded coach and go, here's what we're going to allow. We're going to allow you to tell us who you want to make a splash. Is it T. Higgins? Is it Tyler Boyd? Is it Tyron Smith? These are all free agents that are available that would be immediate difference makers on this team. So you get to, if you are Dan Morgan, tell the head coach, you get a wish list player, right? You look at the entire NFL's pool of free agents, you get a wish list player. I will use that cap space to go get that guy. Because every NFL roster has holes, right? That's what the salary cap is intended to do. Create parity. Every roster has holes. You've got a lot of money coming off the books this year. You've also got the opportunity to play with dead cap space by letting a couple of guys go to save some money down the line. But you've got $26.1 million. Some of that's going to go to DB. Some of that's probably going to go to Brian Burns if you give him a contract extension as opposed to asking him to play under the tag. But regardless of which direction you go, you're going to have a pretty good chunk out there to bring in a home run hitter, which means I get to tell whoever that coach is, you tell me who your big stick is. You tell me who that guy is that you want, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get that guy. Then, and this is an argument that I know is coming before I even say this, but if I'm talking to an offensive guy, Bryce Young is a selling point. Bryce Young is a selling point. Statistically speaking, Bryce Young had one of the worst rookie seasons of a first-round quarterback ever. His 11 touchdown passes are tied for the fewest in a season in NFL history amongst quarterbacks with at least 500 passing attempts.
Bryce Young should be a selling point. That's why David Tepper should sell the team.
It's not what I meant by selling point. I do like the thought. I do. But let me tell you what I am using as quotes in the email I'm popping off to whatever offensive coach I'm going for. Todd Bowles said that Bryce Young will be, quote, one of the best to ever do it. There were 3 different NFC South coaches, head coaches and otherwise, that were quoted by David Newton in an article not too long ago saying, we all see it. That kid's going to be a dude. That kid's going to be special. There's no reason for those guys to say these things, right? Unless you want to put on the tinfoil cap. There's no reason for them to be that complimentary of this guy unless they're being legitimate here.
You're right. There's no reason because you could give them bulletin board material and they're still not going to beat you right now. So, I mean.
Not right now.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about the 2023 Carolina Panthers. I am asking you to help me talk a top-notch head coach into Charlotte for the 2024 version.
You had me till right there. I think what you tell them is, hey, you evaluate the quarterback. You think he's not ready yet. We're willing to bring in a veteran and he can sit down and watch. We're not going to tell you have to play this guy, because if you are a coach and you want to go somewhere, you don't want to be told this person has to play. This person has to play.
You, first off, I know I just talked about the cap space. You do not have cap space to bring in a Super Bowl caliber quarterback to mentor Bryce Young.
Yeah.
You don't have that room.
Here's the thing, though. They're not going to be a Super Bowl champion next year. It's going to take some rebuilding. So bringing in an old vet that's on his way out the door but is more efficient than what you have in Bryce Young. Or if anything, you bring in an old vet so he can take the hits that Bryce Young won't have to take while you try to figure out your offensive line problems.
I think you got a couple of things going for you there. I'm glad you brought up the offensive line. The offensive line is very interesting. You've got a left tackle spot that's got to be a question mark here. Ike Ekwonu, the number 6 overall pick in the 2022 draft, that my man had such a bad season. I was talking to another buddy of mine who is a Panthers fan, and he said, you know what the best move for Ike would be right now? To move him to guard. Honestly, he was so bad at left tackle, move him to guard. You bring in a true left tackle, you move Ike to left guard, everybody else is playing their natural spot, and you start running the football next year with a coach who understands consistency, which I don't think Frank Wright or Chris Tabor did, and I think you got something here. Offensive line was bad. I'm not arguing. But I think it's because you had 2 different guys playing out of position, or at least playing in the position they're designating as, but you're watching him play going, that guy's not a left tackle. Ike's not a left tackle right now. He had a sophomore slump. He had a sophomore regress, not a left tackle.
So you can't look at the potential that was there his first year and how he improved from the beginning to the end and go, okay, this was a fluke. I think he's going to be better this year.
He improved his first year from beginning to end, and then he gave it all back in year 2. He looked worse at the midpoint of year 2 than he looked at the beginning of year 1. I can't trust that he's got it back now.
Well, head coaches were switched. There's a lot of factors that might be a reason for that.
For sure. I'm not arguing. And maybe you can sell this young man, Ike, as, hey, we got a first-round guy that fell apart under the old guy's system. You get the chance to fix this cat, right? Like maybe that is a part of the selling point. The point here is offensive line-wise, as bad as it is, you can look and go, we got one of the best run-blocking offensive lines out there. We got a quarterback right now that is happy, is capable to hand the ball off and utilize the run to establish the pass, not the other way around, right? I think these are selling points. You add all of that together with the cap space. You add that together with a defense that is clearly a unit right now on the same page, good locker room chemistry. And then you tap all of that into, oh, and by the way, you play in a division that has been won 2 years in a row by a team that was 1 game over 500. You do not have to come in here and win 12 or 13 games to be the man. You don't. You can win 9 games and win this division. 9. And if you win 9 games and you take us from 2-15 to 9-8, you're going to have a statue built, man. I think that's the direction. That's the discussion that I'm
That
having.
thing you just said is like one of the saddest things ever uttered.
That's how bad this team is, right? And that's what you're fighting against here. You're fighting against a guy, a legacy with this team right now that says, if you get us to 500, you're going to get a parade. Well, I don't know about you, but one of the things that I consider when I'm looking for a new job is, what am I going to be tasked with? What am I going to be responsible for? What am I going to be asked to do? And if I got job A over here that says we need you to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and then I got job over here that makes the same pay offer, but they say we need you to do A, B, C, and D, but we need you to do that well, I'm taking job 2. Not because there's less to do, but because I can really dial down in. The expectations are not as grand. And I think if you look at a guy and go, hey, look, man, you get us to 7-10 next year, you're in great shape. You're in great shape. You get us to 7-10, you're in great shape. Extension shape. You get us to 9-8, you're probably going to the playoffs. Because while I'm making Carolina's job more attractive, if possible, New Orleans is going to be worse next year, I think. Tampa's going to be worse next year, I think. And the only threat is Atlanta if they hire the right guy and they find a quarterback. I'm going to make the argument if I'm Carolina, hey, we got to hire the right guy. I don't need to go find a quarterback. We got one. We got that guy. Now we just need somebody to come in and put the whole thing together. So, Carolina fans, do it on the text line, 71307. Sorry, pardon me. 71307. Start your text with fan. Do it on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas phone line at 844-326-3663. Or do it on Twitter at The Rob Brown Show. Give me right now your sales pitch to make this Panthers job look as glowing as it can be when you're in the hunt for a new head coach. We'll talk more about this later on in the show. I want your thoughts. I also want you to stick around through this commercial break because we got more football to talk on the other side. I'm Rob Alonso. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate.
The Jungle with Jim Rome. Weekdays at noon. Offsides with Mark Ryan and Drake.
The best sports talk all day.
Only on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate. College hoops tonight, 7 o'clock tip-off for the Paladins at home against the Sanford Bulldogs. We'll have all the action live right here on the Fan Upstate. Furman.
And started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
I say you go ahead and take the sweatshirt off and you give everybody a show.
¿De dónde eres?
Moves on
Babbel's
full
interactive
display.
lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method.
that Jason
So in
Kelsey
no
was
time,
ashamed?
you
No,
can start speaking
he was not.
confidently
So
about
why should you
real-life
be?
topics in another
If
language.
I look like Jason Kelsey, I'd
Nosotras
never wear a
vamos a
shirt.
México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español.
Gracias, Fabo.
Sí,
Yeah, I probably
muchas
wouldn't
gracias.
Although it's pretty cold
Babbel,
outside. Probably
language
bad
for
idea.
life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's BABBEL.com. Start learning a language today at Babbel.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like
I
you're
don't know
trying to
how I
find
feel
a
about The
needle in a
Rock being
haystack.
on the board.
You can
We
hope the
definitely
right
need to
person
talk
comes
about that
along,
tomorrow.
or you can just
He
use
doesn't.
ZipRecruiter.
He
And
hasn't
now
had a
you can try
very
it for
good
free
track
at
record lately.
ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In
This is
fact,
not movie-wise,
ZipRecruiter
The
has
Rock.
helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack.
Still calling
Like
him Dwayne.
Marco, president of operations at Telly
Yeah,
Tires and
but
Auto Centers.
he owns
Because
The Rock
Telly
now,
Tires
which
has
means
grown
he
a
can call
lot in the
himself
last
The
few
Rock.
years. Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people.
The Rock
even the most
says,
difficult
"My
jobs
daughter's
to
in
fill."
charge."
ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it
So-
from
The
Marco
Rock
and
says,
millions
"I'm
of
the
other
main
businesses
event."
who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's
Friend of the show, Chris
ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Billy Currington, Kip Moore, and Larry Fleet. Live in concert. Saturday, May 4th, CCNB Amphitheater, Simpsonville. Billy Currington, Kip Moore, Larry Fleet. On sale Friday at LiveNation.com. Don't miss Billy, Kip, Larry,
I just found
live.
Wilson giving his thoughts on
During
Morgan
MVP's
on
bonus
Pat's
days at
show,
Lowe's,
and I'm
save
like, I can't play Pat's
$250
show
when you
without
buy a
listening to it.
DeWalt 12-inch sliding miter saw and adjustable stand together. Because Lowe's knows
We might
savings.
nerd
Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're
Dan
19
Morgan
or
looks like a
older with
very
chronic
serious
conditions
person.
like asthma,
Yes, he was
diabetes,
intense when he was a
COPD,
player,
or
too.
heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent.
You know, Kuechly was
vaccine,
intense, but
a
he didn't
Pfizer
look like
vaccine
it.
that can help
Morgan
protect you
looked like,
against pneumococcal
he
pneumonia
was
in just one
coming
dose.
undone
Even if
every
you've
play.
already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20
That point in
may
the
help
movie
provide
where the
added
guy finally
protection.
breaks,
Prevnar 20 is
that
approved
just
for
like is
adults
his
to help
normal
prevent
face.
infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Now, during Staples Print Big Sale, get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, you save. But if you print at Staples, you save. See how that works? Staples Print Big Sale. Print more, save more, up to $100. Ends 2/10. Visit staples.com/print for details.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live on the Free Odyssey app. CBS Sports Radio. Early birds get the sports scoop. The Rob Brown Show, now morning 6 to 10.
On the Fan, Upstate.
So I asked you guys to put the most glowing possible spin on the Carolina Panthers resume as they look for a new head coach. One of the things that I very much want to be excited about, though, is Lonzo and I had the conversation a couple of days ago when it was announced that Dan Morgan is the new general manager. One of the things I want to be excited about is Dan Morgan is the GM. But this feels like one of those things that we are not going to be able to make a definitive statement about until he's in the role a couple of weeks, months maybe years, right? The big concern has been that Dave Tepper just wants yes men. The big concern has been that Dave Tepper just wants guys who are going to do it his way. He's uber involved. He's hands-on with everything. He micromanages, and he just wants guys who are going to say yes. But I got the chance to watch the introductory presser for Dan Morgan. I'm going to start with this. That is one intense S of a you-know-what, man. Dan Morgan has got, I will burn holes through you with this look if you don't get your job done energy, man. Dan Morgan is an intimidating dude, right? And if I'm approaching this with the most optimistic possible viewpoint, then I've got to look at Dan Morgan and go, okay, a dude like that does not get pushed around, right? You ever met, Zoe, you ever worked with that guy? Just that never is less than 11 guy?
Yeah, multiple times.
Man, it is one of those things that even if you go, I'm good at this job, I know what I'm doing, I don't need anybody in my grill. You work for a guy like that, and you're just like, you just feel the pressure on you constantly to get it done. I would like to believe that that is who and what Dan Morgan is. And I would like to believe a guy like that does not get pushed around, right? Now, for those of you who watch The Office, big fan of the show, they had a character named Charles Minor, who was played by Idris Elba, who is a flat-out bro, right? He's a dude. He's that dude that when Idris Elba's got his I'm serious acting voice on, like, he's intimidating, right? And the concept of that character was that when he was in the office managing the office, everybody was intimidated by him. And then David Wallace, who was his boss, would show up, the Dave Tepper of the office. David Wallace would show up, and all of a sudden this guy is basically reduced to nothing more than a glorified kisser, right? And the premise of the comedy around this guy was how big of a Billy Badass he was when he was running the show. But when his boss showed up, all of a sudden he was the biggest pushover in the game. Is that Dan Morgan? Is that what we're about to get? If the answer is no, that's a selling point. Hey, new head coach. This dude, this new GM is not that kind of guy. He is the dude that doesn't care how it happens. He just wants the job done. And if you show up and you hold up your end of the bargain, he is your buffer between you and the owner that everybody is trying to tell you is going to be the roadblock that stands between you and success, right? If you show up and hold up your end of the bargain as HC, Dan Morgan is going to make sure you have everything you need and is going to be the wall between Dave Tepper and you. Dave can come to him and go, Dan, here's what I'd like. And Dan Morgan can go, no, Dave, that's not going to work. That's not what we need. That's not what the new head coach needs. That's not what the roster needs. That's the best possible outcome for you. If that is the dude, and I'm going to watch during the break. Apparently yesterday, Greg Olsen was on the Pat McAfee show. And Olsen on the McAfee show gave his breakdown of Dan Morgan. And I haven't seen the interview yet, but I've seen a couple of quotes out of it. And from what I understand, Greg Olsen pretty much says, that's who this guy is. That's who that guy is. He's just a hard ass, man. Like you're not gonna push this guy around if it comes at the threat of him failing at this job. He's not that guy. I think you'd like to think that's a positive, yeah? You'd like to think that's a positive. You'd like to think that Dan Morgan is going to be the dude that throws up the brick wall between the new head coach and the owner. He's going to be the guy that keeps David Tepper away from the head coach and away from influencing what that head coach wants to do. If that's true, that's a selling point. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. When we come back here in just a few minutes from now, it's time for your water cooler cheat sheet. The top 3 stories you have to know before you get to work and start talking sports. I asked you to dress up the Carolina Panthers. Now's your opportunity. Tell me the best thing about that job that you would use as a selling point. The best thing about this job, I get to listen to Lonzo do the sports flash.
You lie. Man, you lie. The MLB Hall of Fame class of 2024 was announced yesterday. The class will include 3 players who received the necessary 75% approval from the Baseball Writers of America: Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, and Todd Helton. Milwaukee's coach, Bucks coach Adrian Griffin, is unemployed despite leading the Bucks to a 30-13 record through his first 43 games. Doc Rivers, who led the 76ers to 3 straight Eastern Conference semifinals in the last 3 years, is in negotiations to replace Griffin. The NFL has announced its Super Bowl officiating assignment. Bill Vinovich will serve as head referee. Vinovich, who, according to Rob Brown, led the team that famously cost the Saints a Super Bowl trip with the most egregious missed call in history, will officiate his 3rd Super Bowl. I think I read that correctly.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. In Piedmont, northbound I-85 approaching SC 143. Accident reported, and that's slowing traffic to White Road. So far, just a 5-minute delay. Other than that, we're looking good. No problems reported on north or southbound I-85 between Greenville and Spartanburg. Your travel time, just 28 minutes so far this morning. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Chris Babler on the Fan Upstate.
You can make the decision right now to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain for 2024. Hey, it's Charlie James. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knee or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatment has arrived, and QC has tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or injury. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again, get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. If this year is the year you decide to fight back against that pain, take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation on the calendar today. Call 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Asheville, 864-448-3772.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Are you the decision maker in your company? Do you want more control over your business spending? Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management platform designed to save you time and money. Ramp offers unlimited corporate cards with spend controls you can customize to stop wasteful spending before it happens. Ramp makes expense reports a breeze by automatically collecting receipts and matching them to the right transaction. You'll close your books in hours instead of days. Ramp allows you to see all of your company spend in one place, so you can make quick, informed decisions about your business finances. Plus, Ramp will share insights based on your spending to help you cut costs. Over 15,000 businesses have added up to 5% to their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free.
What's up, Stream?
RAMP.com/free.
Hi, this is Mark Ryan with Offsides. We'll be live today from 3 till 7 at Ingles Markets at 1524 Locust Hill Road in Greer.
Yelling.
Stop by and say hi.
I've been yelling
We'll also be giving away a $25 Ingles gift card.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
Standards are pretty high as far as that goes.
If you're
So
19 or
maybe
older with chronic
first-time
conditions
listener,
like
but
asthma,
no, I don't think you've
diabetes,
been yelling.
COPD, or heart disease, or are
Whatever your
65 or
normal
older,
is, you're like a
you are
notch
at
below
increased
that.
risk for pneumococcal
As far
pneumonia.
as,
Ask your
you know,
doctor or
I didn't have
pharmacist
volume
about
level?
Prevnar 20,
Okay.
pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Upstate.
WYRB Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville. The official sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. CBS Sports Radio. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown Lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get Rob!
Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Yeah!
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 Oh, no. Tell me to do one more.
Yeah, I hit it. It didn't work. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the second hour of the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. How do you do? Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. What's up, world? Great to be with you.
I'm talking to America here.
Hope you're having a fantastic week as we are midway through it. Well, we're not. I mean, midway through today, we'll be midway through it, but you get it.
Poof.
Just like that. Almost. Guys, we have one more, what I think could even be considered a football weekend. That's it. We have 2 games this weekend, and then we have a Super Bowl, and then it's UFL time. I will go ahead and warn you right now. I'm going to be in on the UFL this year. I'm going to be in. I'm going to make, the last couple of years with the XFL and the USFL.
Yeah, you said that about those too. And we made it like 2 weeks maybe. And then I'm not doubting. I'm all right. I'm doubting.
I think this time it's different, right? I think with it being streamlined, I think with it being backed by the NFL, and I think with the amount of, financial obligation almost that they have to succeed, I honestly feel like this is.
XFL has had plenty of money, so I don't
think the XFL had plenty of money. I think the XFL had the backing of the WWE.
Yeah, Vince sold all those shares and put it into the XFL when he first made it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's dedication.
It felt to me in the past as if these things were afterthoughts, right? It felt like these things were afterthoughts. They were always kind of like, yeah, we'll give it a shot. We'll see if it feels legit. This year, to me, it feels like with the backing of the NFL being involved and with the NFL right now dealing with so many potential rule changes, right? We got another discussion about should the fumble through the end zone be or not be considered a touchback moving forward, right? Is it something that we should just let be?
Ooh, the McCole Hardman rule. That would be, I mean, I don't know if you want your name on that, but if changes are made for the better, why not?
Yeah, I mean, that just kind of is what it is, right? So I think with all the discussions going on about potential changes to the National Football League, and with the National Football League being involved directly with it this time, I kind of look at it as this spring league has more chance to succeed than any previous iteration of it. So I'm going to be in. We'll talk more about it as we get closer. But
yeah, because it's really going to come down to how many people show up to watch it.
Well, you got to keep in mind the last run of the USFL, to me, was actually pretty good football, right? Like, it's never going to be the NFL, but it's not designed to be. It's designed to be a league that, and this is why, this is the pitch I used in the past. It is designed to be a league that you watch if you are one of those people who says, I care about the commitment. I care about the passion. I care about watching guys that actually want to succeed.
Do they pay more than NIL?
No, God, no. I mean, yes, if you're not one of the top-notch dudes, right? Like as a matter of fact, last night I was having the discussion with a Clemson buddy of mine who was complaining because guess who's ranked dead last in the ACC as far as their transfer portal class? This might shock you, but it's Dabo's boys. Dead last in the transfer portal in terms of ranks of transfer portal classes in. And I said, yeah, you got to keep in mind, guys in the portal, they're in it for a couple of reasons. There's two primary. Number one, they want the bag. Number two, they want playing time, right? And Dabo, I think part of the reason that he has been anti-portal is he's not going to promise anybody anything, right? He's not going to say, yeah, you come here, you're going to get PT.
Back in the heyday when they were good, as far as Clemson goes, you were guaranteed playing time because they would take the starters out by halftime. So everybody was getting to play. They had a ton of experience because of how good they were at that time. They're just not there anymore.
Oh, for sure.
They could be there again, but they're not there right now.
For sure. He's not going to make, I don't think, any promises to anybody about here's what you're going to get if you come here. And I think because of that, you probably got guys that are hesitant. We know Dabo has made offers to guys in the portal, but I think there's two things. Number one, he's not going to make a promise to anybody that he's not going to be able to keep or that would eliminate them from being the most competitive version of themselves. I think that is part one. I think part number two is ultimately going to be that the pool from which Dabo could, should, would pull from, frankly, is not that big. It's not a huge pool of guys that are Clemson caliber, and I think that's got to be considered, right? So with the level of competition and ability that you already have there on that campus and on that football team, of course he's not going to go hard in the portal. We'll talk more about that later on because we are inside of an hour away from the beginning of the standardized American office workday. And if you are one of those folks that's got the old 8 to 5er, well, friends, you're less than an hour away from getting clocked in, less than an hour away from work. And if that is the case, when you get to that first break, you've probably got office coworkers, maybe even work friends that you want to talk sports with. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"Shut the hell up."
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
That genuinely might be my favorite clip you've uploaded. Honestly. Like that one, dueling with Chuck.
You just sit at home in your grandma's basement with the drawers on, typing on your damn keyboard. Shut the hell up.
My favorite clips. Honestly, my favorite clips. Let us begin, ladies and gentlemen, with this. A story we are going to talk about later on in the show is item number 1. The Major League Baseball 2024 Hall of Fame class has been announced. I know I normally start by saying item number 1. It's on me.
I just listen. There's a hesitation there. I could get it in, and then I wasn't doing it over top of you in case you forgot. You know, team here.
I know.
It's supposed to be anyway.
I got it. 2024 Major League Baseball Hall of Fame class will include 2 of the best pure hitters of their era and 1, if not the most, overall talented third basemen of all time. Joe Mauer, Todd Helton, Adrian Beltre, all elected to the Baseball Writers Association of America Hall of Fame yesterday. Results came in from the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Beltre, support of 95.1% of the 385 writers who cast ballots. Mauer was voted in by 76.1% of the ballots. That's a first-year guy. And Helton, making his 6th attempt, got in with 79.7% of the ballots. The three will be joined by the 22-year manager, not years old. He's much older than that. Jim Leyland, voted in by the Contemporary Baseball Era Non-Players Committee back in December. They will all go in July 21st into the HOF in Cooperstown, New York. Couple of guys that just fell short. This one blew my mind because I thought this guy, frankly, was maybe a shoo-in. Gary Sheffield, 63.9% support in his 10th and final year on the ballot. Billy Wagner, one of the greatest closers of all time, 73.8% in his second to last year of eligibility, missed induction by 5 votes. Andrew Jones, 61.6%. Carlos Beltran, 57.1%. The last two players who received more than half of the ballots with their name on it, but not quite the 3/4 that got in. Everyone who did not get in, with the exception of Gary Sheffield, will be back on the ballot next year. Players need 75% approval from the voting members of the BBWAA. Everyone with eligibility left stays on the ballot unless you get less than 5%. If you get less than 5%, you fall off the ballot. So, the guys that got in.
Quick question. If you fall off the ballot, can you get back on it?
You
Does
cannot
that ever
get
happen?
back on the writer's ballot, but there is another path to the Hall of Fame. There is a secondary committee called the Eras Committee that is made up of former players and managers, and they can install you. So if they go
What's the name of it?
The Eras Committee.
Okay. All right.
So that Taylor Swift's not on.
Okay. I was just,
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe.
She can be. If she wants to be, I'd let her, right? But
Probably do a better job than some of these old guys.
you are correct. No, let me take that back. The Eras Committee is good. The Baseball Writers Association of America is, dude, they're dorks. They're dorks. That's from I love baseball, man. I'm a baseball guy. I got a baseball show. I love baseball. The Writers Association they are attention needy dorks. Like, I actually really dislike the way that this Hall of Fame thing works, because you get writers who will openly come out and say, yeah, I think this guy's a Hall of Famer, but I didn't put him on my ballot. And I didn't put him on my ballot because I didn't want him to get in on his first year. He's a Hall of Famer, but he shouldn't get in. Dude, he's a Hall of Famer or he's not, right? Stop this. There are writers in this association that make drama out of it, make stories out of it. Bro, if you think they're a Hall of Famer, put them on the ballot. And if you don't, then don't.
Haven't there been years where no one's gone in?
Yes.
And that's sad. That really is.
Yeah.
I still think, to me, and obviously I'm an NFL guy, I think the NFL Hall of Fame is as far as inducting members every single year, is the best one.
I certainly think it's the most famous. I would say the NBA Hall of Fame, the NASCAR Hall of Fame, they're all great halls of fame, and they have a much, to me, more respectable process about picking guys to get in, right? Like, it's a much more respectable process. The baseball writers just always they've got to make a story out of it, man. And it's just frustrating. Some other names that did not get in, regardless of their position on the ballot: Alex Rodriguez got only 34.8%. Manny Ramirez, 32.5%. Chase Utley, 28.8%. Omar Vizquel, 17.7%. Bobby Abreu, 14.8%. Jimmy Rollins, 14.8%. And Andy Pettit with 13.5%.
I will say, as far as I'm not a big baseball guy, but I know all those names.
Well, you're not getting on the ballot if you're not a known name. Like they don't just put anybody on the ballot. You've got to have a chance. But the good news is nobody got less than the 5% that rolls them.
Yeah,
off.
but I mean, when you're A-Rod and you get that little bit of percentage, I think I'd pull my name after a while. I think if enough guys pull their name and say, "Hey, I don't want to be in the Hall of Fame because of how it's how they come about the numbers and everything," maybe that's the only way you make a change.
I mean, that's very fair.
Because the old guys who do it will be replaced by new old guys.
Also true. Also true. All right, let's get item number 2 in here. So the big thing for me has been with the Carolina Panthers, the very simple question, will Dave Tepper get the hell out of the way? The very simple question has been, is this guy capable of getting out of the way? Is this guy capable of letting football guys make football calls? Well, we've seen the shakeup in the front office. We have mentioned a number of times that Scott Fitterer is out, Dan Morgan is in. But the administrative shakeup is not yet over. Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper has now removed Vice President of Football Administration Samir Suleiman from his office. He is no longer with the team. Suleiman's primary duties managing the salary cap and contract negotiations. They will replace someone into that office, and I'm assuming that Dan Morgan will have a say in who that is. Suleiman had been with the Panthers since 2020. He was amongst those that interviewed for Fitterer's job after the season. Instead of giving him the GM job, they gave him his walking papers not too long later. The Panthers could look to fill Suleiman's job from some of the candidates that were requested to interview for the GM position, which included Chiefs Vice President of Football Operations Brant Tillis, Giants Assistant GM Brandon Brown, Bucks Assistant GM Mike Greenberg, Eagles Assistant GM Alec Hallaby, Saints Assistant GM Kai Harley, Ravens VP of Football Administration Nick Mateo, Colts Assistant GM Ed Dodds, and Raiders Interim GM Champ Kelly. Suleiman initially served as Director of Player Negotiations and Salary Cap Manager, was promoted in 2022 to VP of Football Administration, which was more of an expansion of his role in the budgeting and finance function of the operation than it was an expansion of administrative duties. Either way, Zoe, I acknowledge that I am looking for reasons to be optimistic. I acknowledge that I am looking for reasons to believe next year will be different. This time they won't hurt me. But the fact that they're shaking up the front office and it's not just the GM spot, it's every spot.
There are signs. There are signs that he might be getting out of the way.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is the best thing you can hope for, man. Like, that is the best thing you can hope for. If Tep doesn't get out of the way, nothing changes. But the fact that he is shaking up this front office as much as he is, that's good news, man. That's good news. Item number 3. A top 10 team came to Columbia last night. That top 10 team is leaving with another L on their record. The number 6 ranked Kentucky Wildcats entered the game last night 14-3. They left 14-4 after the Gamecocks put a 79-62 beat down on UK. They held UK to 25 points in the first half. They gave up 37 in the second half to the Gamecocks, but they outscored the Wildcats 46-37 down that same stretch.
Believe it or not, I did have this on, and it was really tight in the first half, and then they started pulling away in the second half, hitting threes, playing good D. I couldn't help but think at the end of the first half that Joel Embiid scored more points than both teams combined. I couldn't help but think that. Come on, you didn't think that? You didn't think that a little bit?
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Okay, it's like a statistical truth.
That cut's going to get us flagged because I just heard what was in the background.
I did too.
Yeah.
We're going to experiment. We're going to find out.
Okay. All
I think
right.
we're okay.
All right. You're going to get an email from Diesel, who apparently is the arbiter of that stuff.
South Carolina came into this game as a 5.5-point dog. They were plus 195 on the money line upset. They get said money line upset. If you're a hardcore Gamecock fan and bet on your team to get the at-home upset after they went on the road and knocked off Arkansas last weekend, you all but doubled up your money last night. 20 points for Taylor Cooper. You also got 14 out of Michi Johnson. Now, it's not the biggest number he has ever put up, but Michi hit. I don't know if you watched the very end of that game, Lonzo.
I just said I watched it, dude. I watched the whole thing, including the very end when they stormed the court,
dude,
which was ridiculous.
Look, we'll come to that in a minute. The logo 3 that Michi popped with a minute or whatever it was left. Michi hit a 3 from the logo. It didn't, like, the strings didn't even move. That thing couldn't have gone any more dead center down the net than it did if you walked up and dropped it down. Incredible. But it was not the offense of South Carolina, which was a very good offense. And by the way, no, Joel Embiid did not score 79 like the Gamecocks did. All right.
I said at the end of the first half.
Oh, yeah.
Both teams combined. But, I mean.
Well, Joel had a whole 4 quarters.
He did. Right? No, you're right.
So stop.
You're right. I wonder if he had as much as either one of those teams at halftime. For his, I'm just curious. I mean, it was a great victory for South Carolina basketball.
It's a huge victory.
And I was waiting because this is the first game I had a chance to watch. I was waiting for the meltdown that Rob has told me about a couple of times, and it did not happen.
It didn't happen.
It did not.
It didn't happen. And that, like, that's what I've seen this team. That's what I've seen this team be capable of, right? Like, this is what this team can do. I mean it. In terms of athleticism, they don't necessarily have the superstar caliber quality that a Kentucky does, but they've got athletic depth and they've got the ability, when the head's in the game, to be a top-notch SEC program. Listen, I still think Alabama's better than them. I know they won this game. I still think Kentucky's better than them. But if South Carolina...
They weren't last night.
If South Carolina does not stick its own head up its own rectum in pressure situations, this team is capable of playing high-pressure basketball and winning. And last night, they locked down Kentucky defensively. They took everything away. Kentucky shot 40% from the floor. They were 4 of 13 from the arc. And South Carolina gave up only 9 free throws the entire game. This team last night was defensively beyond adept. Like, beyond adept. That this was what I've been saying for 3 weeks. This team is capable of being, right? This team, and again, it's the best night they've had. No team is as good as their best night, and no team is as bad as their worst night. Last night was their best night. But if this team, if this Gamecock team can consistently be 80%, 85% of what they were last night, man, like, they can compete. They can make noise in the SEC tournament. They can enter the SEC tournament with single-digit losses. And if they do that, that's a tournament team, man. That's not just a tournament team, but that's a tournament team that's got a very good chance at having a single number in their seeding position. This is what I've been asking for. Slap the court, play defense, play physical. You know you cannot go into a scoring exhibition against Kentucky. So what's the best second option? Lock down, hold them to 40% or less, make your shots, get it done. That's exactly what happened last night. And what do you want me to say? Bang. That's what we're going for. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, time to play a little game. It's overreaction or make sense. I know it's been a minute. We're bringing it back. We took some of the biggest sports hot takes from around the social media sphere, and we will tell you whether they are, I know, creative overreactions or if they make perfect sense. I'm going to do that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, got a live read right here. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
see what's up, big dog. Welcome
Listen
in.
to
Happy
every
Wednesday,
game
pal.
live from Westwood One. Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today. AUDACY.
Sponsored by Netcoins.
Invest in over 30 cryptocurrencies on Netcoins, America's low-fee crypto trading platform. Take advantage of zero funding fees, fast trading, plus a $25 credit with code NFL 2024. Netcoins. Crypto investing made easy. Download the app today at netcoins.com.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is.
Coming up, we will have the debate, the very best coach in the state of South Carolina. It comes down to two, but boy, is that a tight battle between D and D. We will have Truth Serum, and did the MLB Hall of Fame get it right?
Number one for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the Fan. The Fan.
Upstate.
Talk to Robin Lonzo. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. This is the award-winning Rob Brown Show. Mornings.
On the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you on a Wednesday morning. Want to be a part of the show? Do it now. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolina phone lines, 844. Nope. Yeah, 844-326-3660.
Why are you second guessing yourself?
My brain just blanked.
I mean, that was like
Blanked.
you face planted.
Yeah.
That was weird.
rough.
Yeah.
844.
Are you okay? Maybe you need to go to the hospital.
I think I'm all right now. 844.
You like me to call somebody?
3663. I think I'm going to get through it. Text us 71307. Start your text with Fan FAN. Fan FAN. We'll read them on the air. So it is time to play a little game we like to call Overreact or Make Sense. This is a game where Lonzo is going to read me some hot sport takes I have seen around social media lately, and I'll tell you if they check out or if somebody needs to calm down. And it goes like this.
I think you're overreacting.
Let's all calm down.
This is a huge...
All right, let us start with this. The Gamecock basketball team is SEC championship caliber.
Honestly, you saw what they did last night at the house against the SEC's best in Kentucky. The only thing that I ask now is that what I can expect moving forward? I go back to the Alabama game a couple of weeks ago, a game in which when it got tight, the mentality of this team completely faded from view. They lost their minds. Last night, they got up on Kentucky and they never looked back. Here is the issue. If you're in a closer game than that, and again, if you can stay in a game like that dominant against a team like Kentucky, you're in a pretty good spot. But what happens if you're down 3 at the half against Kentucky, as opposed to up 5 or whatever it was? What happens if you're on the other side of that scoreboard? Can I trust you not to lose your mind like you've done in a couple of other games? The good news, Alonzo, is that if you win a couple of games like this, the panic meter goes down in other games like it, right? That Alabama game, that was the most difficult opponent they had played to date. And they had to do it down in Tuscaloosa, which the Bama fans have embraced basketball. I got to give them credit for that. They have embraced basketball in a way I've never seen them do before. So you go into their house. That's the most difficult game you've had to play so far, in front of the most hostile crowd you've had to play in front of so far. You melted down. Now that you've done this, yes, it was at home. No, it was not in front of a vicious crowd elsewhere. But if you can do that at home against that good of a team, yeah, you've got it in you to go be a very good basketball team. It's an uphill battle. I'm not saying they're going to be a favorite by any stretch of the imagination, but that team that played last night can compete with anybody. Yes.
All right, next one, overreaction or makes sense. Jason Kelce is an American man.
it's the most makes sense we've ever made sense of.
There are people out there who absolutely hate him as much as Taylor Swift now.
I mean, they can all build a bridge and get the hell over it. All right.
Does that mean drive over it or like jump off of it?
No, just in general, get over it.
Okay, good. All
Why
right.
is it that so many people in this country love nothing more than to just absolutely crap all over what makes other people happy?
That's what the internet's for, apparently.
I don't know, man. Like, why can't you just let other people like what they like? Why can't you just let other people enjoy what they enjoy and be happy? It wasn't like they were taken away from the game. Tony, instead of watching this next play, we're just going to leave the camera on Taylor and Jason Kelce for a minute. They didn't do any of that. All right. You're not missing anything. Calm down. Let people have their fun. I am going to say.
So this is like a really huge deal.
I personally think that he did it to see if he could make Jim Nantz stutter, which you can't do. I mean, and you can't. Yeah, you can't do. It was worth the shot, though. All right. Overreaction or makes sense. With the hiring of Dan Morgan, Carolina must absolutely hire an offensive head coach.
So this is like a really huge deal.
I don't think they have a choice. I do not think they have a choice, my dudes. Like, I think they have to. Listen, I am genuinely optimistic about the hire of Dan Morgan. All right. Dan Morgan does not strike me as the type of cat who's going to allow David Tepper to tell him how to do his job. He strikes me as the guy that is going to do the job. And if he needs to tell Tep, you need to get off your bull boat and calm down a little bit, he'll tell him that. So the problem you bump into is that Dan Morgan is absolutely a guy, I think, we can pretty much lean into it at this time, that is going to know how to build out a defense. The problem isn't the defense. We know that this team can build out a pretty good defense. The problem is you got a rook quarterback that you need to make sure when next season starts is wildly comfortable, understands the offense, etc. And a guy like a Mike Vrabel or a Raheem Morris is not going to do that. You have to go offense.
All right, I'm glad you said that. Overreaction or makes sense. The fact that Mike Vrabel name has not been mentioned for any coaching jobs is proof that he's not a good coach.
That is an overreaction. I would like to point out that Mike Vrabel at Tennessee had 4 successful seasons. And by successful, I mean went to the playoffs. 4 successful seasons. 2 of them were divisional championships. And then he got canned after back-to-back losing seasons. Now, they are bad back-to-back losing seasons. But look at the drama that Tennessee has gone through. Look at the A.J. Browns of the world that they lost over the last couple of years, and they lost because of bad management. Tennessee is a lot like the Carolina Panthers right now. And I think that needs to be pointed out. Mike Vrabel, it may not be next year, though I would not be shocked if it is. I think Washington is an interesting fit for him, considering how much they've leaned on defense with Ron Rivera the last couple of years. Mike Vrabel's going to be a head coach again, probably next season.
Have you heard his name anywhere?
I have not, not recently.
Don't you think that's weird? It's a little odd.
But I also think the jobs that he is best suited for, I think we all think New England was the one that was going to get him. I would not be shocked to find out that Seattle is working in that direction because I think they want to make a shift towards getting that defense back to where it used to be. Mike Vrabel's going to be somewhere next year.
All right, this next one I don't want to read, but I'm contractually obligated to. Dabo signing only 1 player from South Carolina says Shane is moving in on his territory. This thing implies that it's always been Dabo's territory, and it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Let's be real. For the past 8 years, it has been Dabo's territory.
It's
all
not.
Right?
It's not.
Yes, it has.
No.
And I'm not talking about I am talking about the fact that
it's definitely an overreaction. Just the whole question.
It is an overreaction. All right. And it is an overreaction for a couple of reasons. Number one, and this was pointed out to me yesterday, the entire state of South Carolina has as many high school football players as the city of Atlanta and its surrounding suburbs, right? I think that a lot of people look and they go, all right, hey, you got to pull guys out of South
By
Carolina.
the way, that's not a bad thing, but the population in the state is growing, so it won't stay that way forever.
For sure. But it is still never going to, I mean, is it possible that one day the entire state of South Carolina has as many players as the Atlanta metro and its surrounding suburbs? I mean, maybe, but you're still talking about an entire state as populated as a single city out of Georgia, and that does not take into consideration the Valdosta's and the other kind of high school bastions like that. The reality here is, as much as South Carolina fans would like to see more South Carolina players on South Carolina rosters, which is very understandable, there is always going to be a little bit of a tint of that regional pride left in college football. You also have to consider the fact that kids out of South Carolina, not exclusively, but by and large, they grew up as fans of one team or the other. And if Shane and Dabo are both going to make an offer to a kid, aside from having the Georgias and the Tennessees and the Floridas, et cetera, that are also recruiting across the area, you're Dabo and you recruit a kid who grew up a Gamecock, the likelihood he's going to end up there, even if Shane didn't give him a scholarship, is not super high. It's not zero, but it's not super high. I saw yesterday somebody on Twitter point out that the 2024 class has one kid from South Carolina on it. It is the, I believe, second time since I don't know, Dabo got hired at Clemson in his early days that there were that few South Carolinian players on the roster. But the reality, guys, is this is a great state with great high school football. It does not, respectfully, compare to Texas, Florida, California, etc. And because of that, you don't have the quantity of quality to be able to pull that many guys. And you've got the rivalry with an in-state team that kind of changes the game. And you've got the portal to deal with, too. This is not a big deal. This is not something that Clemson fans need to panic about, even though I saw them doing just that on the internet yesterday.
Yeah, panic. Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Calm down.
All right. Overreaction or makes sense. A screaming ESPN talking head, I wonder who that could be, says without Debo, the 49ers cannot beat the Detroit Lions.
Taylor's getting some run today. That's an overreaction. Is it going to be dramatically more difficult? You're damn right it is. That's how good he is. That's how versatile he is. It is going to be dramatically more difficult to beat Detroit without Debo. It is a lot easier if you are a defense to dial in on game manager Brock Purdy if he does not have Debo as an escape valve. But there's still plenty of talent over there. There's still McCaffrey. There's still Ayuk. There's still Kittle. There's still a ton. There is still, without Debo, more skill position talent than most NFL teams have across those three positions cumulatively. They absolutely can still win this game. In fact, now that the ring rust was knocked off last week, I think San Francisco is going to look a lot better. The question mark is not, can San Francisco beat Dallas without Debo? It is
Detroit.
Can Detroit match them tutty for tutty? And that's a tall task for anybody.
You said Dallas, which was funny.
Dallas can't match them for anything.
That was really funny. All right, time for one more, I guess. Overreaction, it makes sense. Milwaukee firing Adrian Griffin proves players have way too much control in the NBA.
That's going to be the narrative. The narrative is going to be that Aiden Griffin had lost the locker room, and Giannis didn't like him, and Dame didn't like him, and I'm going to tell you there's numbers to back this up. I know that a lot of you guys hate the analytic side of sports, the nerd side of sports, the numbers side of sports, but there were a bunch here. For instance, taking advantage of free throws. When Milwaukee shoots above their average number of free throws per game, they're 18-4. They are 500 when they shoot below their average. When Milwaukee includes a dribble handoff in an offense, this is how deep you can go with the stats. When Milwaukee includes a dribble handoff, that is effectively a player rolls off a screen and the screener kind of hands him the ball and then he drives. I know. They are the number 2 most efficient offense in the league. That means that Dame and Giannis have to be working a 1-2-man game, but go watch Milwaukee. They only do that about 40% of the time. It is the best offense they have, and they very rarely run it. There comes a point where you go, yeah, we're 30-13, but we could be above the Celtics, but we're not running our best stuff. We're actively avoiding our best stuff. And if you're actively avoiding your best stuff, even if you get to 30-13, you're still not a good coach. And that's what happened to Griffin. Let's take a break, come back, wrap up hour number 2 after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys, live read coming up right here. Y'all stay right there. We'll be right back.
Your one-stop shop.
Fan Upstate.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a
So
haystack.
I finally made it to 1,000 episodes
at
of One Piece
ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
yesterday.
In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners
1,091.
like Marco,
Yeah.
president of operations
And
at
still
Telly
going.
Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires
So I'm
has grown a
closing
lot
in
the last few years,
on finally
Marco
catching
needed
up.
to hire everyone from a receptionist
We
to
don't
a
watch
store
it every
manager
day,
to a head
so
mechanic.
if I did, I probably would have got there a lot quicker.
All the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from
Last couple
Marco
episodes,
and
they went
millions of
straight
other
up kung fu
businesses
movie,
who've used ZipRecruiter.
like samurai movies,
ZipRecruiter can help
because
you
they're in
find
a samurai
the needle in
place.
the haystack.
with all the
See
cuts
why
and
4 out of
everything.
5
It's
employers
been
who
very
post a
great.
job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now,
You
can
think,
find ZipRecruiter
other
for
than
free.
wrestling,
That's
has there been
free
1,000
at
episodes of Raw?
ZipRecruiter.com
Probably.
/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.
Okay, so other than wrestling, is there anything that you've watched that many episodes?
ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Not even close.
ZipRecruiter,
How many episodes were in The Office?
Smartest way to hire.
Not 200.
has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there, here buck, there buck, everywhere buck.
You don't have to wait weeks
Oh,
for
there
your
were
tax
the
refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee.
201 episodes of The Office.
Don't settle for
208
chicken.
episodes
Get
of How I
fast
Met Your
bucks at
Mother.
Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offer to
What
eligible
other
clients.
series
Money
have
today
I
guarantee if
watched?
approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Your guide to the gridiron, the maestro of the matchups and the keeper of all things cool in the sports
Oh,
world.
Smallville was
This
on for
is
10
the
years
Rob
and only
Brown
had
Show.
217 episodes. I thought it
Lonzo's
was
here
more.
too. This is the Fan Upstate from the Ingalls Market Studio.
I do
The
reversed.
Fan.
Upstate.
3,600
97.7 FM
episodes of
Greenville.
it.
97.1 FM
16,400 episodes.
From the Free Odyssey app. CBS Sports Radio.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back. Rob and Lonzo with you here on a dreary Upstate Wednesday morning. We're going to have off and on weather over the next handful of days, culminating
I thought you were going for cumulative, but
in a few inches of rain across most of the Upstate coming up on Sunday morning. So enjoy it if and when you got it. We'll see how it goes. Going to be nasty over the weekend, though. That's too bad.
It's a good go home and, throw something on the TV while listen to the rain and fall asleep.
That's true.
That's my plan today.
I'm not mad about that at all. I'm not. My plan today is I have got a meeting right after the show today and then some work. And then I will be on color for Furman basketball this evening.
Which is awesome. By the way, I'll be here for like 3 or 4 more hours. It's not like I'm leaving after the show. Who does Furman have tonight?
Furman is on the road at Wofford. The rivalry game, baby.
And you can hear that right here on the Fan Upstate.
Yep, Tom Van Noy on play-by-play. I'll be filling in on color.
Pregame starts 6:30, tip off somewhere around 7. So
yeah, boy. Yes, boy.
I cannot wait. Have you worked with Tom before?
I have not worked with Tom before,
okay.
as a matter of fact.
The contrast of voices is going to be very interesting because Tom is smooth and kind of low key, and you're not.
Yep. I'm interested to see. Ordinary, like I'm a play-by-play guy. I'm usually the front man, right? Tonight I get to play the color role, which is interesting, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it because the role of color obviously is to know ball, and obviously I know ball. So to talk about what I'm seeing as opposed to what is happening is going to be an interesting challenge for me this evening, because normally, with the occasional exception of a Greenville Liberty game here and there, normally I'm calling out what is happening as opposed to why it is happening. Tonight I'm on the why what's happening is happening, and I'm pretty pumped about that.
I've always believed that color would be the better job of the two.
I like
because
more.
Because of more freedom to just watch, observe, and talk about what you just saw.
I think,
and I guess play-by-play, you're doing it as it happens. Color is reacting to what just happened.
Yeah, so I will say I think play-by-play is more difficult, right? Because you've got to react to freak athletes doing freak athlete things in real time, describe them, paint that picture accurately, and do it at game speed. Whereas with color, you're not talking as much as you are because you've got to watch, you've got to analyze. You've got to talk about, all right, that guy's got the ball, but I need to have my eyes on the backside power forward. All right, is he coming up to set a pick? Is he rotating around? What's the floor spread? What kind of sets are they running? Why did that? There's a lane open. Why is that lane? The lane should not be open. The defense is installed to prevent that lane from opening. How did they unlock it with this offense and bring that to it? But, and this is where the challenge for color comes in for me, you've got to do it during a stop or a pause in the action, but know when to get out of the way to let the play-by-play jump back in, right? And that can be tough. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I've met Tom a number of times. Spectacular dude, man. He's just a good dude, and I'm looking forward to being on the call with him tonight. So we are going to have some fun. Going to have some fun on the Furman game tonight. All right, coming up in the next hour of the radio broadcast, got a few more things that I want to get to on the show. We will talk some MLB Hall of Fame. They got it right on the 3 guys who got in. But I got 2 guys that I think definitively should have, and a third that I don't know, but I'm going to make an argument about. The NFL has announced their officiating crew for the Super Bowl. I am absolutely going to utilize that as an opportunity to once again complain about the worst missed call in the history of the National Football League. Yes, it is about me. Shut up.
You're the only one who still is doing that.
No,
I
I'm
get
not.
it in all of humanity.
Nope. Not even close. And Mel Kiper Jr. has put out his first mock draft of the offseason.
Wow. Early, isn't it?
Not really. There's only 4 teams still standing, man. Everybody else is in draft mode. So we'll take a look at that and see who he thinks the Carolina Panthers are going to pick with the number 1 over. Oh, wait. That's my bad. That's my bad.
Yeah, no, that would be the Chicago Bears. Thank you, Tepper.
We'll do all of that coming up in the next hour. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the number 1 overall pick in your heart is Lonzo.
Keep me there, keep me close. I'll keep you warm. A top 10 team came to Columbia and left with a loss as the South Carolina Gamecocks knocked off number 6 Kentucky last night, 79-62. Talon Cooper led all scorers with 20 points, and Meech Johnson chipped in 14, including a 3 from the logo that put the game away. The Gamecocks shot 48% from the floor and 45% from deep and held Kentucky to below 40% shooting and 31% on the defensive end. South Carolina is now 16-3, 4th in the conference, and hosts Missouri this weekend. The NFL has announced a Super Bowl officiating assignment. Bill Vinovich will serve as head referee. Vinovich, who, according to Rob Brown, and you'll hear more about later, led the team that famously cost the Saints a Super Bowl trip. Tune in tonight at 6:30 as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Sanford right here on your home for Paladins basketball, the Fan Upstate. By the way, Simpsons 760 episodes. So that's a bunch. There are a couple seasons in there, Steve, where it gets a little weird, like the witches thing and stuff like that. But I think it finished up pretty good. And I think once Erica Durance joined the series as Lois, I think it really, really kicked it up. Losing Lex near the end was not good, but, you know. And I love Tom Welling, but he was never meant to put that the Superman outfit on, because once he puts it on, it's like, okay, that don't look right.
Smallville was a story of young Superman, right?
Right. The last
set in a modern
the last episode, he put put the Superman outfit on and flew away. And that's how the series ended, which was, how it should be, because it was leading up to that. Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor is still the best Lex Luthor to me forever. I don't think anyone can outdo him. But you got to see him as young Lex leading into, when he kills his dad by knocking him off the building and all that stuff. And they build it in a way where you're like, yeah, I could see someone pushing this guy off of a building. Yeah. Rosenbaum and Tom Welling are doing a thing, which I watched some of it, where they're going through episode by episode for the entire 10 years, and they're breaking it down.
10 years.
Yeah, and they bring in guests or people that were on the show and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And you hear about how that all the cast and crew got together to get Tom Welling a driver, because he fell asleep a couple of times driving back and forth, because he's the only one that was in like every scene for the first couple years. Not only is Rosenbaum the best Lex Luthor, he's also the best animated Flash, I think. His voice, he was in a ton of voice of, yeah, that's right. Okay. He's also in 2 Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe 3. That crystal looking dude in the background.
Yeah, okay.
That's him.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, with hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Doing great, Corey LaJoy. Thank you very much. Hope you all are doing excellent as well. I am, Lonzo, because if you didn't get a chance to check it, the Pellies set the high score last night. They broke it. They broke the game last night.
It counts, but I pushed that button.
No, you're good. I'm going to let that.
No.
You didn't say anything. That's the game.
I did.
Oh.
I did. I said I, which is, it's a letter and a word, but it's enough for it to count. That's 2. I saw the highlight of Zion
nearly knocking himself out on the backboard.
Yeah, I saw that.
Off the dope oop where he almost hit his head like high on the glass. Ridiculous. Pelicans put up 153.
I don't know about you. Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. What, when you had the tiny tot rack in here, maybe?
That's just that's stumbling. Like, oops.
153, 124. CJ McCollum leading the way with 33 points last night as the Pelicans put a $153 on the board. Isn't it nice? The South Carolina fans feel me right now. Isn't it nice when your team does something? I'm not talking about win. I'm talking about when they do something. Like when they have a moment that you're like, damn.
You stopped my college basketball crack by throwing South Carolina in there because you knew it was coming. You just like
I really
thwarted me.
I should be used to it now. I'm not.
That's a lot of points, man. 153.
153 points put up last night by the Pellies we own the Jazz, man. I got to tell you, I don't believe in karma except with this. All right. When the New Orleans Jazz moved to Salt Lake City and kept the name Jazz, it is the most non-appropriate name in all of sports. Honestly. There's no Jazz in Utah. I've been there. There's just not any. I think it's illegal in Utah. Give us the name back. All right.
It might be because, Smoky Halls at night. And I don't think you do
Can't
that
smoke
in Utah.
Utah?
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know.
Can't have jazz. Can't have fun. Can't have dancing. Can't do that. We own the Jazz and did again last night. 22 from Herb, 33 from CJ, 17 from Zion, 18 from BI. Heck, even Jonas got in on it with 17. And you had two players off the bench, Larry Nance Jr. and Trey Murphy III had 12 and 14 respectively. Dude, isn't it nice every now and then for your team to do something? I'm not talking about win. I'm talking about have a moment. Have a moment that you're like, oh, yeah, this is why I love sports. This is why.
See, I can't say anything because my teams do that all the time, and I know how that sounds. But so I'm just gonna be quiet.
I mean, you're a Chiefs fan, all right? So we kind of don't want to hear it.
And Buckeyes, other than bad kicks and interception at the end of the game. Yeah, I mean, it's always one guy. I always got to be one guy,
Always got to be one guy. I don't know, man. I think that ultimately,
do you do the chest out thing? That's my boys right there. My guys did that.
Dude,
yeah.
Let me put it this way. I had this game on the small screen last night because there were a couple other games that were on that I was watching as well. I had this game on the small screen last night, and I quite literally just took a picture of the score ticker on the bottom and started blasting it to all my NBA buddies.
Isn't that like a faux pas for people your age or younger to do that, to take screenshots? I thought that's only what old people did. That's what I've been told. No, that's what I've been told.
That's not a screenshot, dude. I literally pointed my camera at the computer. You can see the keyboard down there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you took a picture of yeah.
Dude, look, it is what it is, man.
I'm glad. I'm happy for you.
I am happy.
I'm also happy
too.
for South Carolina's own Zion Williamson. I don't know why he's still in New Orleans when he could go to New York, but other than that,
you're not wrong. You're just an.
I pulled some Big Lebowski quotes today. That one felt that I wasn't going to use that except in the most opportune moments, but then you had to say that. You had to say that.
By the
Lonzo
way,
A. Smith.
I think we know that I was being sarcastic.
It still makes me mad.
Yeah, I know, which is why I did it. So I'm going to be lost with some of those quotes because I still haven't watched that movie. So
you'll hate it. You'll hate it. Don't care. It's still a great movie.
You're trying to do that thing where you're telling me I'm going to hate something because you believe I'm a contrarian, and then I'll watch it and love it, and then we both could love it. That's what you're trying to do.
I think you'll hate it because it is wildly vulgar, sexual, grotesque, over the top.
And stoners, right?
Yeah.
It's like old stoners.
Yeah.
It's like not watching the young stoners movies like Fast Time at Ridgemont High or things like that. Or
Correct.
What, Baked?
It's
like an older version of Baked.
It's a different level, dude. It's just it's a different level of movie.
See, if I watch that, I'll just see the bad guy from Iron Man. So, I mean,
it's fair. And by the way,
with long hair,
Jeff Bridges is a national icon and should be treated as such. But Big Lebowski,
loved him in Tron.
I didn't see Tron
or the second one.
Nope.
And they're making the third one right now.
Didn't see either of the first two.
It was groundbreaking.
I should probably go back and watch them. I've heard they're good. All I'm saying is Big Lebowski is a cult classic for a reason. It's an incredible movie.
Because there are a bunch of old stoners out there.
I'm not an old stoner.
Plus,
I love that movie.
Plus John, why am I forgetting his last name? Goodman. I've never thought he was that good of an actor. I don't. He's basically the same character in every movie. Your bowling buddy. That's what he is. He's your bowling guy in every movie. And he actually put him in a Blues Brothers movie, which was horrible.
You
got to be closer to the mic for the disagreement because that, I can only turn it. Well, no, actually, you give me room for volume, don't you?
You've had some awful takes on this show. So have I. I acknowledge. But you've had some awful takes.
Don't you try to do that. No, I'm the only one who supposedly has bad takes, but you know what? They're mine.
This is,
and it's not a bad take. It's my opinion. I don't think he's that good of an actor.
Yeah. Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I'm telling you, you're going to get his flag,
we're already
dude.
committed to the bit.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay. All right.
Nothing new about it now.
And what a horrible rendition of the Eagles in the background that is. It's not even the Eagles.
The only thing the Big Lebowski got wrong was when he said the Eagles suck. It's the only thing he got wrong. Everything else, the dude is the best. So by the way, I didn't know this. Did you know that dudism is a recognized religion?
Not surprising.
Yeah. And I only know that, and this is true. I'll pull you behind the curtain for one, Rob Brown. You know Rob Brown has 9/11 jobs across his life. One of the jobs that I have done in the past, I have not been actively doing it. I used to not just be a wedding DJ, because of course, but I also used to officiate weddings. And in Florida, and I'm sure it's true here too as well, but in Florida, you have to be ordained, but there are a bunch of different religions you can be ordained in. And so in order to
remember where you are, that's all I'm saying.
It's fine. It is what it is.
All right.
Because I was a businessman, trying to set myself up to where I could do.
Please not be Scientology. Please.
No, it was not Scientology.
Okay. All right.
I am actually, to this day, Zoe, I am ordained in 2 religions, right? That I can officially marry people, because there are a lot of people who do not want to be married under one particular religious affiliation. So I got ordained, and I can do any wedding and any type of ceremony, but you have to be officially ordained. There are 2 that I am ordained in. The Church of the Dude, in which I am referred to, and this is true, as a dudist priest, okay? And the second one is, I am
living after midnight.
I
Ladies and gentlemen, dudist priest.
Ordained and recognized by the state of Florida as a Jedi, because the Jedi Order is a recognized religion that you can be ordained in as well. And so in order to marry my best friend, Jeremy, who is a big Star Wars dork, I picked up a second ordination as a member of the Jedi, and was able to, at his wedding when he got married, say, in the name of the great state of Florida, and in the power vested in me by the state of Florida, and under the name of the Jedi Order, I now pronounce you man and wife. And it was the best moment of his wedding. It was great. It was great.
Were you wearing Jedi robes?
No.
Because I would think if you, the ordination of the Jedi, you'd have to wear a Jedi robe, wouldn't you?
His wife, who is a lovely young lady who I adore, said, if you want to have a Jedi reference to make it official, I'm good with that. But no, Rob is not wearing a full Obi-Wan Kenobi costume. We tried. Big fight I'm having right now. We're getting married in St. Augustine on the beach. And like 6 of my friends were like, we're coming as pirates. I was like, no, you're not, dude. You're not. And you're not. You're just not. You can come to the reception as a pirate. You have my full authority to do that.
What a buzzkill.
I know.
So does this directive come from you or from somewhere else?
No, this is from me. This is from me. I'm taking that part of it somewhat seriously. I take everything else in my life as a joke. I'm taking that part somewhat seriously.
Piratism is not really a joke, but what if they're from the Church of Pirates? They believe in the code.
Guidelines. Hey, Bill Vinovich is officiating the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I try to do everything I can to keep us away from this, but I failed.
Wait, stop. Wait, no, I just forgot. We got to go back to this John Goodman thing. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
There aren't actors out there that you like that other people say, no, they're not any good.
There's a lot of them. But John Goodman.
He's not a good actor.
What are you talking about, man?
He also ruined Frosty the Snowman 2. I mean, there's just a lot of things where he's just not really that good. The only believable role he ever did was as Roseanne's husband.
Okay. First off, he was spectacular as Walter in The Big Lebowski. All right.
I'll take your word for it.
Did you see 10 Cloverfield Lane? He was horrifying. He was terrifying in that movie.
No, because there was no way that they could. I couldn't tell. Is this a sequel to Cloverfield or is it not? And
it's a prequel. And now
they
that
don't.
You should watch it.
They don't really explain that though. When the trailers came out.
Did you see Argo?
No.
Argo was great. He was great in Argo. I know you've seen Raising Arizona at some point.
Yeah, but I just remember Nicolas Cage.
He's fantastic in He
pales in comparison to Nicolas Cage, who is like the greatest thespian of our generation.
Have you seen Patriots Day?
Maybe.
Another great movie.
When was that? I mean,
he is Sully in Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
That itself is an all-timer, man.
No, Billy Crystal makes that movie.
Billy Crystal, because of John Goodman, makes a movie. Billy Crystal by himself doesn't work. John Goodman doesn't work. The two of them together, incredible.
John Goodman is just a monster Mongo and not as good as Mongo. I don't understand why it bothers you that I don't like an actor that you like. I'm sure there are things that I'm into that you can't stand, and that's fine, okay?
Listen, he was Fred Flintstone.
Yeah, that was typecasting.
Yeah, it really was. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Him and Moranis, I think, was Barney Rubble.
I believe you are correct. What else was John Goodman in that?
I can't remember if Betty and Wilma were hot, but they're supposed to be.
Oh, they definitely were. They definitely were. John Goodman in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? One of my favorite movies of all time.
Never watched that movie.
Oh, please watch that movie.
No,
it's so good,
dude. All I gotta do is go to a family reunion. Why do I need to watch that?
No. The people in Ohio are not like the people in Oh Brother.
All right. Once again, you just don't really pay attention to me, and the fact that I've said many times that my family is from Kentucky, which is why I can do a Southern accent so good, even though people say I can't. I absolutely can. I can go home to Kentucky, not my home, but my mom's home, and fit right in if I like.
Listening audience, what's our opinion on John Goodman? What is our collective opinion?
No. What is our? That's
our opinion.
That's the regal question. What is our?
Yeah.
As if you guys need to do what Rob says.
Our opinion of John Goodman is that he is an all-timer.
No. You should say your opinion. We know what your opinion is. We know what my opinion is. Their opinion is not an our opinion. It's their opinion.
Texas said in South Carolina, you only have to have a vested interest in the persons that you are marrying in order to perform their wedding.
Okay, what the heck does that mean?
Required in Tennessee, cousins can marry cousins literally and figuratively. So I guess it means just anybody can marry anybody in South Carolina, but you have to.
What's a vested interest?
Like you have to have a familiar relationship with them. Nobody, you can't just go, hey, person on the street, can you marry me? Like it's got to be. It's kind of like witnessing on somebody's marriage license.
Yeah,
like you have to actually know them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So some sort of connection. We work in the same building. Is that enough?
Not going to stop me from being a Jedi. All right. It's just not. I can legally call myself a Jedi. I'm doing that.
Hey, Wesley, I respect your opinion. I disagree with it because in your opinion, Wesley says John Goodman, one of the greatest voices in all acting.
Yup.
Good for you. I don't have that opinion. Why does that make me a bad guy?
Joey texted the show, said John Goodman's a national treasure. Another texter has said John Goodman is a Hall of Famer.
Okay, you know all these people.
No, I do not.
Personally, these are all your boys. These are all people who spent time in North Carolina with you like a week or so ago.
That's it. It couldn't just be that Lonzo holds a vast minority opinion.
There were 8, which would be a rarity on this show, but I'm fine with that.
Joey B brings up Righteous Gemstones, which is an incredible television
Definitely
show.
Not interested.
Love that show. Adore that show. And Goodman is perfect in it. All right, we got to take a break because that's enough John Goodman. That's enough John Goodman.
Which I said after watching him in one role.
For the record, I was going to talk about Bill Vinovich there.
I know.
I'm still going to talk about Bill Vinovich later.
We'll see.
We're running to a break. My name is Rob Brown. His name is The Distractor. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate.
Not distraction, it's manipulation. There's totally different things. Although you can, well, I guess they are the same thing. Why? It's always that same break, and there is no command in between, and I'm pushing the button once. It's got to be some sort of hidden thing. I don't know why that's doing it. This time I didn't walk away, though, so that helps. Until now, when I walk away. Emperor's New Groove was all right. My kids really liked it.
I love that movie.
What's his name from Saturday Night Live starring that one? For some reason, I want to think it's David Spade.
It is David Spade.
Okay.
All right, guys, give me just a second. I'll be right back.
If I shove him off of his chair, he's gonna fall. I'm just gonna take a step. It's a height difference there.
You guys had your you can't take me yet, son moment.
That's been happening once
Okay.
he started in wrestling. There were times where I go, you gotta stop because I'm gonna get hurt. It's more a matter of injuries and stuff. And I was riddled with gout during his formative sporting years. Doesn't mean I didn't, try to mix it up a little bit. Maybe someday I'll get a grandson who could say, I could take you, Grandpa.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate, Rob and Lonzo. This is an opinion I've seen popping up the last couple of days. That is, frankly, a little shocking to me. I have now seen a couple of names with this take. It started with one television talking head for whom I respect the hustle, but am not a fan. And now I will add a name to the mix that I will mention.
All right, real quick. Hustle as in
His
fooling
ability-
everybody, or
his ability to create a character that I think is disingenuous, but that sells him on television.
so it was the hustle part that I was thinking. It wasn't that he's a motivating,
Correct.
go-getting kind of guy. He's like pulling the wool over everyone's eyes, that type of thing.
Correct.
Sounds like my entire radio career.
I will now add another name to the list. This one I will name. It is former Indianapolis Colts legend, Jeff Saturday. I like Jeff Saturday.
You mean the former coach of the Indianapolis
That's
Colts?
the guy. That's what I said. When I said Indianapolis Colts legend, I meant as a head coach, obviously. Jeff Saturday knows ball. I like Jeff Saturday a lot. I think Jeff Saturday is one of the better studio analysts they have on TV right now. What's your problem with Jeff Saturday?
He's like someone at the developmental center for WWE who hasn't learned how to do a good promo yet. And you watch them and you know they're never going to be able to talk like everybody else. It's just too much. I'm reading what's written in front of me. I would think this guy, if we were having because I'm an expert on small talk, I would think that if we were, sitting around somewhere, like having some wings or something, he'd be quiet.
I don't think so. I like Jeff Saturday. I think Jeff does a good job. I just think Jeff Saturday, maybe
He's got killer looking eyes though. Good
great
for
hair
him.
too.
Yeah,
Real good
yeah.
hair. I think Jeff Saturday just refuses to, at least to me, refuses to enter the hot take market. And I appreciate that. I think you should be able to do this job and be entertaining without being a hot take artist. It's just my opinion, man. That's just like my opinion, man.
It's like doing a show with no conflict.
Right.
Who wants to do that?
I think you should still be able to drive conflict, but you should be able to do it without manufacturing bad takes that everybody's going to disagree with for the sake of clicks.
And there are some times when maybe you just have that opinion.
Right. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I feel like if you are disingenuous with a good chunk of your opinions, I got to assume you're disingenuous with all. I think Jeff Saturday does a good job of having a pretty level-headed conversation without resorting to, I need attention, here's a hot take, okay? That being said, and that is why I am evaluating a take that somebody else had, but now Saturday had the same take, and I'm a little bit, I don't know, man, I'm taken aback by it. Jeff Saturday said this morning on the 4-letter that the 49ers, quote, cannot win, end quote, if Deebo Samuels doesn't play. If Deebo doesn't go, then San Francisco cannot win. And I find that really interesting, right? Because they just won without him. He had 2 catches in that game against Green Bay before he left with the shoulder injury. An aggravation of a previous injury, though, again, if you missed the news earlier this week, it is not a fracture. So he has, according to Kyle Shanahan, a 50-50 chance of playing this weekend when the 49ers host Detroit on Sunday. So, with that being said, Deebo is without question, I think, the most important part of that offense. It is not Brock Purdy. It's not Christian McCaffrey, although I do think Christian McCaffrey is the best player on that offense. The reason Deebo is important, but was not really ever considered in the MVP race, is because he has what I have always called and referred to as the Reggie Bush factor, right? That is the ability to change the shape of and change the actions of a defense without the football. There were folks who said Reggie Bush was a disappointment in the NFL. He was not. As somebody who watched him every week of his career in New Orleans, he was not. Reggie Bush was the cat that you sent out to the flat or you sent out on a wheel route, even though you never had the intention of getting him the football, but because he pulled the defense that way. He changed the shape of the defense in your favor just by being a threat. And if they stopped changing the shape of the defense to match Reggie Bush, you went to Reggie Bush. That's Deebo. You can put him anywhere on the field. Put him as an out wide receiver, put him in a slot wide receiver, put him off as a wing back, put him in the backfield with McCaffrey, without McCaffrey. There's really not a spot on the field that you can't put Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and not know that he's going to have an impact on the football game, with or without the football. That being said, is there a team in the National Football League that if I said Deebo out of the mix, McCaffrey at running back, Ayuk at wide receiver, Kittle at tight end, is there another team in the National Football League that can match those three positions player by player? I don't think there is, right? I am taking Deebo out of the equation. Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. Wide receiver, tight end, running back. Is there a team in the league that can match that? I would say the closest is probably Kansas City with the breakout of Isaiah Pacheco and with Travis Kelce. But what wide receiver are you putting out there? Rashee Rice has come on lately.
Rashee Rice, yeah.
Rashee Rice has come on lately, but Rashee is not a home run threat.
Well, a few years ago, there was no question who you would have put in.
100%. It'd have been Tyreek. And if Tyreek was in Kansas City, I would say Kansas City matches San Francisco position by position. But Kansas City does not have a deep threat wide receiver that Brandon Ayuk can be. Ayuk is, to me, a more valuable. Rashee Rice is a menace, and I love him for it. But he's not Brandon Ayuk yet. He might be, but he's not there yet. This is where I hit the spot where I'm telling Brock Purdy, I do not want you to. I do not need you to. In fact, I demand that you do not try to go out there and win this game. You remember how a few weeks ago Cam Newton called you a game manager and everybody got mad, and then you inserted yourself into the NFL's MVP race? Remember how about 6 weeks ago you were actually the Vegas odds-on favorite to be the most valuable player? You're not. You're not. You're not. You are a very important player. But what I need you to do is I need you to play the game in a way that everybody who is healthy and playing, Kittle, McCaffrey, Ayuk, and the rest of the backups, have the opportunity to make up the yardage that we have lost with Deebo Samuel on the sideline. That's what I need right now. I need you not to go out there and be a Hall of Famer. I don't need you to go be Steve Young. I don't need you to go be Tom Brady. I don't need you to be Mahomes or Jackson or Allen or any of these other elite quarterbacks. I need you to distribute the ball intelligently and efficiently. That's it. I need you to find the open guy and get him the football and nothing else. I don't need you trying to throw into windows. I don't need you trying to make elite throws. I don't need you to do anything special. And the problem I think you bumped into with San Francisco that you saw last week against Green Bay without Deebo out there is I think San Francisco got to a point. I think San Francisco got to a point where they started to believe the hype, right? I think Brock Purdy got to a point where he started to believe the hype. I'm not saying the guy's a bad quarterback. I'm saying he is not up in that top tier, this guy wins you the Super Bowl level. I think he's a guy who can get you to and give you a chance to win it. But I think he's a guy you surround with playmakers and they win the Super Bowl with him, not the other way around. This is the spot where I need you to be a game manager, and that's it. That's it. If they try to play this like Brock Purdy is the NFL's most valuable player, then they're going to be in trouble. Because now without Debo out there, you're not pulling the defense out of a shape, right? If they decide they want to go cover two single or cover two safety, if they want to go single high and shade him over to Brandon Ayuk and everybody else plays a base formation defense and you try to win matchups, you're in good shape, right? The way you're going to beat that is by having an escape valve everywhere. McCaffrey out of the backfield, Kittle pulling down the seam, Ayuk playing the X. That's it. And then it's up to Brock Purdy to find the right guy that's open on any given play. When Debo's out there, he's pulling defenses towards him. He's got a gravitational effect on the defense. And it creates pockets that might not otherwise be there elsewhere. But without Debo out there, if he is, by the way, he's not for sure not going to play. He's 50-50. I don't think we're going to know until game day. He may go all the way up till game time decision. But without Debo, Ayuk slides up into wide receiver 1. Jawan Jennings slides up into wide receiver 2. You're going to have a combination probably focused on Ray McCloud, but with Chris Conley out there as well. What I need you to do, Brock, is recognize that if Debo's not out there changing shape, these guys aren't just gonna be open with big gaps like they normally are. They are going to have to run routes. They're going to have to run routes against an honest defense. They are going to have to run routes, and you are going to have to throw to the open guy based on the defense we're up against and their ability, as opposed to doing what I think Brock Purdy did this year, which is relying on Debo Samuel to pull the defense in a direction and open up spots that would not be open against a honest defense. I do not agree that the 49ers can't win this game without Brock Purdy. I don't agree with that at all. I think that is flat out entirely wrong. But I do think it is going to take you as the San Francisco 49ers. It is going to take you having a very difficult conversation to have with Brock Purdy, where you tell the guy, my man, you're not a superstar. You're not a legend. You're not an icon. You're a good quarterback. You are not a league MVP caliber quarterback. You're just not. And I don't need you to be. We can win even if you game manage. I would go so far as to say, we only win if you game manage. We're not going to win if you go out there and start slinging around like you're Brett Favre in 2003. That's not going to get it done. What's going to get it done is you throwing correct reads, correct, accurate passes, and don't try to force it. I don't need you to try to go deep ball. Hey, if the deep ball's there, if Brandon Ayuk gets over the top, they're running single high, they rolled over to McCloud for whatever reason, he squeaks behind, and you're able to get it done, great, super, awesome, go for it. But more often than not, that's not going to happen. More often than not, that's not going to be an option for you. Don't be a superstar. Don't be a stud. Don't think you're Patrick Mahomes. You're not. Don't think you're Lamar Jackson. You're not. Play the game. Dumb it down. Don't be a stud. Because without Debo, this is going to be a very different game start to finish. And you know with Dan Campbell, they're going to want to bite your kneecaps. So don't let them. Just play good football. That's it. Lonzo, can the 49ers win without Debo Samuel?
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. I think so. I just think it takes Brock Purdy not thinking that he's a league MVP and thinking I'm good enough to win the Super Bowl if I let these guys carry me.
At the same time, can Detroit beat San Francisco?
It depends on what Brock Purdy does. Honestly, San Francisco is going to give points to Detroit. Detroit's going to score. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, these guys are too good to keep out of the end zone. I think Detroit is probably looking at a 17 to 24 point day. My question is, can San Francisco do it against a defense that flies around faster and hits harder than Green Bay? And I think that's 100% up to and on Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy doesn't try too hard, if he doesn't go over, then yeah, they can. This game, I think, will not be predicated on Detroit. It's predicated on San Francisco. What can San Francisco do without Deebo Samuel? And I think that comes down to Brock Purdy. Texter said, Rob, my mom used to say, if you have to force it, it's probably... That's good advice for Brock Purdy. Yeah, I agree. If you are looking at a route developing and you're going, I'm going to have to force this ball in there, don't. The problem you bump into, though, is you had Deebo for so long that Brock's developed that habit now, right? He's developed that habit of with Deebo on one side and Ayuk on the other, there's not a lot of shots that he has to force, right? There's not a lot of shots that he has to make a stellar throw. And there's going to be this weekend. There's going to be spots he's got to force. So the question mark is, does he overdo it? Or does he take the efficient, smart throw versus the big game playmaker throw? Be a game manager, dude. You're a game manager. Texter said, everybody wants a Tay-Tay v. Eminem Super Bowl. I mean, I think it'd be entertaining as hell. Let's take a break. Come back. We'll wrap up hour number 3. Jump into hour number 4 next. Rob Lonzo and you. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys. One more live reading. We're coming back. Don't go anywhere. right, dudes and dudettes. We back.
According to Sports Illustrated, Troy Aikman didn't book a vacation because he assumed the Cowboys would be in the NFC Championship game.
Businesses have added up to 5% of their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. ramp.com/free.
Kelly Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling.
Kevin is going to join us at 9 o'clock straight up.
In studio or
no, on the stream?
Okay. I thought maybe he was actually here in the building, but not everyone does that.
Come to the office?
Yeah.
Why?
Some of us actually like coming to work.
I prefer. I've gone back and forth from how long we were at the house for what, a year. Almost over a year, actually.
Stop with this Wii stuff.
I was at the house over a year, almost a year and a half.
I was essential.
You know what I think, and I realize this. You know what I think I prefer? The opposite of whatever I'm doing.
Of course.
When I was at home, I'm like, I can't wait to get back to the studio. Now I'm like, man, working from home would be nice.
Yeah, but you don't get to come here and have wonderful conversation.
It's
in
better
the hallway
to be
in the office. And, if I don't come to work, I don't have interaction with anybody. So, except for my immediate family, and only some of those. See, that's why I am thinking about retirement, but at the same time, I'm not old enough to retire yet. I'm old enough to think about it, though. What would I do? And you also never know when forced retirement's going to come along. Forced retirement could come along.
You're retired now.
Yeah, at least you're retired from here.
B-Digits, welcome in, buddy. Here's the good news, Alonzo. If and you don't, I don't, we don't, but if you were to make a mistake, like an egregious mistake on the air, right? Like an awful mistake, like an unforgivable mistake, to the point that you were told you're retired now. We are retiring you. You've had a good run. Thanks for being here. Goodbye. The good news is, though, that you could become a National Football League referee because there's no repercussions for mistakes in that industry. Bill Vinovich is going to be officiating the Super Bowl. Now, you may go, Rob, who's Bill Vinovich? And I'm glad that you asked. I really am.
It's definitely not what I would go, but anyway.
If you ask who Bill Vinovich is and why I care about this, it's very simple. It's very, very simple. Bill Vinovich is the guy who was the officiating chief for the worst missed call in the history of the National Football League. Bill Vinovich was the head official when the New Orleans Saints took an L to the Rams in an NFC Championship game at home, because Courtney Roby got nailed 3 feet before the ball got there.
Who did?
The wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints,
who
got hit by the DB for the LA Rams, their first year in LA. The year that Rodgers' pet project, his baby of getting a team back in LA happened. And then shockingly, they just happened to get the worst missed call of all time and sent to a Super Bowl that year. Stunning, I know.
What's above a colonel? Is there anything above a colonel? Because you keep calling me Colonel Grudge, but you're worse than me. Because you will not let this go.
Above a colonel is lieutenant colonel.
Okay.
than
right.
major, and major grudge is more than fair.
Okay.
Because that's exactly what it is.
Major grudge. So one guy makes a mistake that bothers you and you cannot forgive them.
Lonzo, making a mistake is one thing. Then
Rob was trying to come up with an analogy that would apply to me, but since I'm so weird, he couldn't come up with one.
I had to slow my roll because otherwise the button was going to come into play.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
There's making a mistake, and then there's making a choice to do bad. Making a mistake is when you do something bad and it was like, oh man.
So Billy didn't like your team, and he purposefully held on to that flag just to make all Saints fans suffer.
I'll tell you what I said on Twitter the other day. Because every single year on that day, my timeline is flooded with videos of that not call. Here's what I'll say. That was the day that I stopped popping off on dudes when they say, I absolutely think the NFL influences games. I can't prove they do or don't, right?
And you use, you are adamant about, oh yeah, well, who did it? Who did it? Who said it? Who did all that kind of stuff? You can't prove it, but so you're speculating.
Correct. I acknowledge that. But I also acknowledge that Roger Goodell made it a point for many years to get a team back in LA. He was not quiet about that. And then he got one, and then that happens, and it just so happens that the team that he got back to LA benefits from that call to go to the dance. Now, I'm not saying.
I think you are saying, and I think you can find reasons to make your opinion work because you're unhappy with a guy making a mistake.
No, that's not a mistake. That's a choice.
That's a choice. So Roger called down and said, yo, Billy, it's time.
If I walked over there and slapped you in the face and then went, my bad, Zoe, that was a mistake. No, that's a choice that I made.
All right, I'm not going to try to kill the bit or something. If I'm looking, you're not smacking me in the face.
I'm quick, son. I'm fast.
And I am a lot faster than you think.
I'm fast. I'm real fast. Real fast. Point here is, that is not.
Why would anyone want to slap me? That's weird.
A lot of people want to slap me. That probably for this segment, honestly, that is a choice, not a mistake. That's all I'm saying. And this guy, here we are, a handful of years later, is still an illustrious ref within this organization. Okay, cool. I just wanted to point it out.
I believe it was Don Henley who had a song called Forgiveness. I think maybe you need to listen to that song a little bit. Like get in that mood and find some forgiveness in the small little thing called a heart that you carry within your cavernous chest to let it go.
My cavernous.
Because as soon as this guy makes any mistake in the Super Bowl.
Oh, you better believe it. You like a hound dog. I will be
like a wolf dog?
Yes. I will be on him. Every mistake that crew makes, I will amplify to the maximist volume I am capable of.
What if they don't make any mistakes?
Bull, you know what? You know,
look at your reaction. So is it possible for a referee, umpire, whatever, to call a perfect game? I mean, to get everything right. So you're saying they're human?
Yes, but do you? Okay, there is a difference between I got into a car accident and I drove my car down the middle of a farmer's market. One of those is an accident. One of those is a choice. All right? That's all I'm saying. Vinovich is catching this smoke until I die. Till I die. My team will never get back. We're done. We're cooked. We had a run.
He's quite a bit older than you, I think. So he's probably going to be gone before you.
Don't care.
If you both live long lives.
Don't care. He'll get it after that, too. He will take my spite to the ether. Kevin Thomas from the Moving the Chains podcast is here. Why? Oh, why do we have Kev, who talks high school football with us during the season?
To change the subject from Vinovich, for one thing.
I'll never stop dunking on Bill Vinovich. What a clown. It is because, ladies and gentlemen, there is a massive story taking place right now around the world of South Carolina high school athletics. And a bunch of you guys have come to me with questions, and and this is true, don't know the answers. Kev does, and he'll join us when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
No pressure there, Kevin. A top 10 team came to Columbia and left with a loss as the South Carolina Gamecocks knocked off number 6 Kentucky last night, 79-62. Talon Cooper led all scorers with 20 points, and Michi Johnson chipped in 14, including a 3 from the logo that put the game away. The MLB Hall of Fame class of 2024 was announced yesterday. The class will include 3 players who received the necessary 75% approval from the Baseball Writers of America. Adrian Beltre, John Maurer, and Todd Helton were all inducted. The NFL playoffs continue this Sunday as the Chiefs take on the Ravens at 2 and the 49ers take on the Lions at 6:30 right here on your home for the NFL, the playoffs, and the Super Bowl. The Fan, Upstate. I said that, didn't I, James? I'm not going to argue about the fact that maybe I said something wrong. So, because last time I said that, I found out that I did mispronounce it. Just want to also say that if you keep pointing out mistakes that I may have made, the boss will see that and they'll just, and I will be canceled. I'll be gone. I'll be retired. My incompetence will be front and center. I will no longer be on the radio. I'll be at home, tearfully looking out the window, wondering where my career went wrong. Oh, yeah. I said Joe Mauer wrong. Wow. I thought Clemson was going to cost me my career. I was going to say something about them, and the powers that be were going to get rid of me. But no, it was baseball. You guys are mean. Why do you hate me, James? I'm assuming that you're saying I said something wrong. Maybe you just put the guy's name down that you couldn't believe that. I don't know. But if he is not Joe, and I don't know that, it's because I'm not a baseball fan, and it's because I didn't write the story. I have to trim it down because it's like 3 paragraphs long, but because Rob is still writing for TV. You know, I appreciate that. The yes, the vague yes that didn't answer my question at all about anything. Thank you, James.
I'm also confident the Saints would have beaten the Patriots that year.
I'm not, because they didn't make it there. You know why? Because they didn't win. That's why. Just like if the Chiefs don't win this week, they don't go to the Super Bowl. Whether they get messed over or didn't get messed over.
Please don't make me want to see you guys get screwed by the refs. Please don't.
You already want to, because you hate Taylor Swift.
No, I don't. All right, Lonzo's just
being sarcastic.
He's just on it. He's just on one today.
I just woke up.
Well, I guess I should bring Kevin in. He's just sitting there watching us in the background. What's up, fella?
Hey, boys.
How we doing?
Doing good. Just doing some 9 to 5 work over here on this side.
Didn't that seem like some sort of slight when he said 9 to 5 work? I mean, I
mean, like, the real job.
He's got a real job.
Yeah, some of us just, now come in really early. And we're very happy about it, except for the no sleep part. Kevin, are you a John Goodman fan? Do you think he's a good actor? Because I don't, and apparently I'm like the only one.
He's got some good stuff.
See, some good
I
stuff.
wouldn't say I'm like a huge fan of his, but like he's
There he goes. So you don't go, oh, John Goodman's in, I got to see it.
Right, yeah. It's not like must-see.
All right, all right.
Not a must-see film for me, I would say.
You said he's bad.
He's not a good actor, in my opinion. My opinion is the only one that matters to me.
We know. No, it was bad. I had to fix it.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Yeah! The final hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, with you on a dreary Wednesday morning across the upstate of South Carolina.
Lonzo is a superstar.
All right. Lonzo's on one today, man. Like I said. We got a lot more football to get to, but joining us now here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate and live on the stream, by the way, which of course you can watch by going to facebook.com/thefan-upstate by searching the Fan Upstate and subscribing on YouTube or the Rob Brown Show on Twitch, is from the Moving the Chains podcast. He joins us all high school football season long to talk, well, high school football. Now he joins us to still talk high school football, but kind of something different. Kevin Thomas from Moving the Chains is here. What's up, big dog?
Rob, great to talk to you, man. Football never sleeps, as they say, and I guess that's kind of trickled down to the high school level now too. It seems like,
as we have started saying on this show, Kev, ain't no off season, man.
Very true.
Ain't no off season.
Very true.
So we've been getting a lot of questions about this new transfer rule that has started this conversation across South Carolina. The rule being, at its core, and I will have you add on the intricacies where you can, at its core, if a kid transfers into your school from outside of your school zone, that kid counts as 3 towards your classification level. Can you kind of give us some of the nuance to what the conversation is about the rule itself?
Yeah, so it's not even necessarily transfers in. It's more if they go to your school but live in another zone currently. So if a kid, wants to go from Greenville to Spartanburg and they actually move to Spartanburg School District and live in that zone, they count as one kid. But if that kid somehow, gets a waiver or whatever to go from, say, Greenville High School to Malden High School, they live outside of Malden's attendance zone, they get counted as 3 people there. So what you see is a lot of these, the charter schools that have different attendance zones than normal schools. A private school, they have a lot of kids outside of their attendance zone going to their school. Obviously, their numbers get bumped up, and they get bumped up 1, 2, even 3 classifications in a couple cases. So really interesting to see how the numbers are shaking out now, because it's not just, the numbers aren't just all for your bodies anymore. It's all for your bodies and this multiplier. So a lot of change and a lot of new stuff coming to the realignment here for this next cycle.
So what would you say so far as we've gone through this appeals process where schools have been able to appeal? Are they appealing individual kids? Like, is this a case-by-case basis these schools are appealing?
A lot of times it is. Some schools, like the private schools, with them not having a traditional attendance zone because they're not, included in the regular high school league stuff. The high school league kind of arbitrarily gives them an attendance zone of where their school is, but it's not necessarily based off of them. So they'll see a lot of out-of-zone kids coming to them just because it's not, their zone, which has really been weird for them. We saw another couple schools appealing due to, travel time for potential regions. Like they don't want to be making 100-mile round trips, every week. So we've seen some of that come through. It really depends on what your school is as far as what the situation is and why you're appealing.
Kevin Thomas from the Moving the Chains podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. What is just your opinion on this rule? I was talking with one of our callers about it earlier this week, and I said, it kind of feels like one of those situations where the path to hell is laid with good intentions, or whatever that phrase is. I'm an idiot. What do you know? It kind of feels like on the surface, it was a thought out attempt to try to stop talent from conglomerating at certain schools in an area. What was your thought on it when you first heard the news about this realignment policy?
I felt like, and I think most people agree, that something had to be done because we had gotten to a spot, especially in 1A, where a certain group of schools were winning basically all the championships across all sports. And a couple of those were private schools, a couple of those were charter schools, whatever. So that's why they kind of had some extra talent, people were saying. The problem that I have is with the actual rule they put in place. I mean, there's no qualifiers to this. There's no, any kind of special circumstances to this. And I know South Carolina, like they just wanted to get something done. So I feel like they just kind of put this in kind of hastily, kind of rushed to this 3 times multiplier without having any, trial and error, any background, maybe taking a small step of doing a 2-time multiplier instead of a 3, something like that. They kind of went all in, and you're seeing some repercussions now, good and bad. It's just interesting to me. My thought, Rob, is that you should add a qualifier to it. I think it should really be a multiplier on the athletes. If a kid comes to your school because you've got a great fine arts program, you've got a great STEM program, why are they counting as 3 kids for your numbers? Because they're not going to be an athlete sometimes. You should really, check and see, I think, more in depth before you add on some of these qualifiers. And I think that would actually be a better option. But, we've got this process now for at least 2 years. And I guess maybe hopefully we can revise and kind of, tweak it and go from there.
And that was kind of my thought was, I when I was growing up, when I was in high school down in Florida, we had one school that was in one of the smaller towns in the area, but the coach there was cranking out D1 recruits. And so we had guys from all over our county all ending up at this school to get the opportunity to play for this guy and get that scholarship. And so you ended up with this school playing in a small town, but it got bumped up multiple divisions. It just kind of threw the whole competition scale off countywide. And do you think that has been a problem around Greenville County and around the area that brought this into play?
Not necessarily Greenville, I would say, because as you know, in Greenville, we've got a lot of big 4A, 5A schools that still do really well. Maybe not Greenville County, but especially when you get into Spartanburg County side. But it's really more the lower classifications. I mean, really, like I said, 1A and 2A were the ones that were really seeing the ramifications of this, where a few schools, I mean, it's Christchurch, Southside Christian, St. Joseph's, Gray Collegiate, Oceanside Collegiate. They were winning a lot of titles at that 1A and 2A level because they had some different kind of, attendance people or way they get kids in there as far as attendance zones and being private schools and whatnot. So it was more at that line. I don't think you saw a lot of top talent transferring from 5A schools into those guys. I don't think that was a problem necessarily. It was just more that they had, I guess people would say, a bigger pool to choose from for the athletes that they did get.
Kevin Thomas from the Moving the Chains pod joining us here. And by the way, if you guys have any questions for Kevin Thomas about this, you're welcome to send them in. 71307 is the text line. Start your text with fan. I'll be happy to ask them on the air. So we went through this appeals process. Were the schools appealing like their overall move? Like if they got bumped up, they could appeal the move itself?
Correct. Yes. So there were some schools that went up 2 classifications, a couple schools, or maybe I know at least one went up 3 classifications because of the multiplier number. So they wanted to get moved down. And those appeals were sometimes won and sometimes lost. It was funny to watch the last couple weeks how that went. But yeah, high school league, they do it where whatever you're classed in, you're that class for every sport: football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, everything. And that's something that they have looked at in the past, is possibly doing different classification for different sports, but that has not gotten passed through. There was even a school that came out and asked for that last week, said, hey, can we be in 4A track and field and then a lower class, everything else, because we know that we are good enough to compete at that sport, but not others. But that was, denied as well. So when you appealed it, you were appealing all of your sports, all your classes at one time.
So basically, we could have ended up in a spot where you get a bunch of kids who transfer in to play football at a school that bumps you up 2 or 3 classifications, and that football team may or may not be able to compete at the higher level, but the basketball team or the baseball team would have got dragged up as well. So now all of a sudden you got a school with 500 kids playing a classification for schools with 1,500 kids. Did the folks that were hearing the appeals process, was that something that had been considered and they went, oh, we got to deal with this?
I don't think they had considered it until the appeal process. I'll put it that way. Like the original list, I don't think they had thought about that at all. During the appeals, you heard some schools say, hey, we're going to have to fold up some of our JV teams to make enough teams to have a roster at a varsity level to compete, week in, week out at football or basketball or baseball or soccer, one of the contact sports like that. So that was something that was certainly brought up by a lot of schools. It seemed like the appeals panel had some, understanding of that, I guess, once that came out. There were a few schools that, like I said, they approved to, go down or to stay down a level so that they wouldn't kill off all of their lower sports for sure. So it's certainly interesting to hear. A school like Abbeville, a school that has been a 2A power in football for, several years now, won a lot of state championships. They actually had the numbers where they could have been a 1A school as far as just attendance numbers with the multiplier. But yet they were originally put in the 2A class. They went to appeal and said, hey, for one thing, travel reasons, our region in 2A would be honestly almost unrealistic what they're asking to do travel wise. A lot more schools 1A around them. They came back and said also, obviously we're really good at football usually. We're not great at other sports already. Like we don't want our kids to get punished because we have one good program, match step in 2A. Their first appeal was actually denied. They made them stay in 2A. They went back to the appellate panel 2 days later, appealed, and they won. So they did get dropped down to 1A, which is really cool to see because it did feel like they were stuck in 2A because of one sport, which, I feel like is not fair to the rest of the school, the rest of the kids. So that was one that was a very interesting appeal that wasn't necessarily from a charter or private school. It was more a public school, traditional public school, but they kind of worked out hopefully for them in the end.
Talk to me a little about the impact on this whole process because of charter schools. Obviously, we're seeing private schools and seeing those numbers bump up, but they are community specific more than they're not. Was this impacted by that? Was this created because of that?
Yeah. So kind of a long story, but I will say some of that certainly kickstarted all of this. So there's a couple of charter schools in particular. Gray Collegiate is one in Columbia, the West Columbia area. Oceanside Collegiate is one down near the coast in Charleston area that have really gotten a lot of flack the last couple of years because they've been pretty good at a lot of sports. This season, some of the schools in Gray Collegiate's region, actually all of them, banded together and decided not to play Gray in football. So basically forfeited every game, gave Gray the region championship. That kind of got the wheels in motion for part of this. Obviously it had been something to talk about for a while, but I think that really kind of kickstarted even more. That they've got to do something about just competitive balance in general. So with that, a lot of these guys moved up 1 or 2 classes. Gray went from 2A to 4A. Oceanside is now 3A. So that certainly pushed things along a little bit, you could say.
Kevin Thomas moving the chains, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. So you were watching this appeals process play out, kind of following it from a distance. Now that we have gotten through this portion of it, what was your reaction to it? Were there any schools in particular that the results of their appeal surprised you, disappointed you, excited you? Was there anything that really jumped out about the appeals process portion of this?
I would say that the way that the private schools kind of got handled was really surprising to me. Christ Church right away was jumped up from 1A to 4A. I mean, that's a 3-class jump. That is really hard to swallow there. The other ones like a Bishop England down in Charleston, St. Joseph's up here, of course, Southside Christian in Greenville as well. They went from 1A to 3A. Basically, all of those guys wanted to appeal. The only one successful was Christ Church. They got moved from 4A to 3A, so they only had a 2-class jump. So lucky for those guys. But it's just wild because you look at like the numbers on the football team. I mean, a team like I think Southside Christian dressed out 24 kids last year, and now they're going to be playing 3A football. I mean, it's going to be hard to see how they're going to sustain some of that stuff for a full week-long schedule. It was very interesting to see what got appealed, and I think you don't want to say that the committee was biased a little bit, but like obviously they want to stick with whatever was original. They don't want to make any appeals. They want to obviously show that their guys are right away, and then obviously they kind of wanted to stick it to those guys. It felt like honestly sometimes, which is a bit of a problem, but that's how it goes. That's how it shakes out. And then obviously the Appaletta panel, which got filed to the second time, you only had a couple of people who won that. I think it was maybe 2 out of 7, something like that. So not a lot of movement was had. They wanted to kind of stick with what they had, it felt like, for the most part. But here we are.
Here we are. Now that portion's right now, so the appeals process, well, like we've hit the end of the appeals where we stand right now.
Correct. So regions should come out. I think they said Friday, hopefully, so you'll have an idea of what your region will look like for all sports. At that point, you can appeal your region placement if you think you want to get moved to one differently. So that will happen. But as far as classification jumps, that's all taken care of now.
Okay. Now that it's in the bag, now that it's in the back seat, now that we're kind of moving on to the next stage in the process, now that you've seen it play out, do you expect that this is going to be something that's done every year? Will it be tinkered with? What do you think plays out?
You know, they do it for 2 years. So a 2-year cycle typically is what they do. This year, that may change because open enrollment is probably going to come to South Carolina sooner rather than later. And when that happens, when you can literally go to school wherever you want, I think they're going to have to redo it, maybe sooner than 2 years when that happens. And I think, you know, they're going to continue to have this subcommittee, I would assume, about, you know, what best practices are. Like, should we look at maybe a 2-times multiplier instead of a 3? Should we add a qualifier, like talk about, whatever it is? So I think that'll be an ongoing conversation. But as far as realignment itself, scheduled for 2 years, I guess we'll wait and see how that goes with this new open enrollment, if that gets passed, and if so, when that comes through.
We got a text that said Southside Christian and their 24 kids have to play against public schools like Woodruff, Daniel, and Powdersville. Yikes. Is there anything like that jumps out? Like, were there any situations where you looked at a school and you went, oh, wow, that's not great for them?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those smaller ones going up 2 classes is crazy. You know, with there being another part we'll get into, Rob, is that obviously 5A and 4A got made a little bit bigger than usual. So 3A is kind of not as big as what it was. So you don't see some of those schools like a Daniel is now a 4A school. But yeah, you do have somebody like Woodruff in there. You know, a team like Chapman is still 3A, and you're going to see Southside Christian and St. Joe's and Christ Church playing those guys who obviously just have more kids there at that level. So that'll be tough to see. Another thing that really jumped out is the disparity in 5A. So 5A, they wanted to make that the biggest classification. And what is supposedly going to happen is they're going to split that into divisions for the playoffs. With that being said, it's a monumental jump in number of kids from the biggest 5A school to the lowest 5A school. So interesting to see how they're going to break that up, because they haven't really come out and said if it's going to be just a top half or in bottom half, or it's going to be more of a, you know, all for your traditional success type deal. So we'll see how that shakes out. But there's going to be a lot of disparity as well as far as number of athletes in that 5A level.
Yeah, and I guess that at the end of the day, like, I approach sports and usually do from the standpoint of the athletes themselves are a priority to me. Always have been. This is why I've been an NIL and portal guy, because it gives some power over the sport back to the kids who are out there doing the part that we're entertained by. You know, none of us have ever showed up to watch an NCAA board meeting. We're going to football games to watch football players do football things. I guess my biggest concern here was, how does this impact the players themselves? And while I am all for finding a way to try to level out the playing field a little bit, listen, if you're a school that's out there doing, not that anybody's doing this, but you're out recruiting the best athletes and they're coming there, sure, there should be a jump up in caliber here. But when I hear stories about that and setups like that, man, it concerns me a little bit.
It has to, man, because it's just, like I said, you want everybody to have a fair shake. Like, that's what it's all about. You want to be competitive, balance. Like, that's what this whole thing is about, is you want everybody to have a chance. But by creating that chance, did you really make it worse for some folks? I don't know. And that's what it's kind of be kind of wait and see and whatnot. Obviously, we all have our thoughts ahead of time, but it's something that's got to play out. And like I said, it's something South Carolina, like, they knew it had to be done. Like, even when you watch the appeals, you saw the schools like a Christ Church or a Southside Christian or St. Joseph's, Bishop England as well, who knows they've been winning things. They went in and said, hey, we agree something has to be done. Like, we don't mind moving up to 2A or whatever, but a 2 classification jump seems to be pretty steep for some of those guys, and it's going to be hard to compete, you would think, at some sports for sure.
Kevin Thomas, Moving the Chains podcast here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Got a couple more questions here. One that came in on the text, and I'm just going to read this to you, Kevin, because I don't know about it. You may. Texter says there is already pending litigation from schools on this. Also, something in the state legislature pending that would shut down the South Carolina High School League, independent agency, and put all high school athletics under the State Department of Education. This thing isn't a done deal, ...
Yeah, there was talk, and there's been some meetings with, legislator there to kind of take it over and kind of disband the high school league. That has kind of been put on the back burner for right now. And honestly, I don't know if the government really wants to get involved. It doesn't feel like. I feel like they kind of just wanted to make something happen from the high school league. So that may appease that a little bit. I know there is some rumors of trying to get past a rule where you can't jump more than either 2 or 1 classification in a cycle to kind of help some of that huge stuff going on. When that will get passed and talked through, we don't exactly know. So that's kind of the issue there. It's all kind of TBD of like if it will happen or when it will happen. But yeah, there is talks of that stuff. I would not be against putting in, a proviso or a law saying you can't jump more than 2 per class. That's fine with me, and I think that's a solid thing to do, if not even say 1. But I think that's something they're looking at as well. But like I said, as far as when that will happen, kind of up in the air.
What team from around our area, got another minute or two with you, Kevin. What team from around our area would you say, or what teams from around this area were most impacted by all of this?
Got to be the private schools, Southside Christian, St. Joe's, and Christ Church, all up and now in 3A from 1A. That was the biggest jump. I mean, you saw I will say, honestly, a lot of schools moved it. Like Daniel went from 3A to 4A. Greenville is now in 5A. Of course, the 5A schools all stayed up there. So I'd say that was probably the biggest jump of seeing those lower guys go up 2 classes now.
Did we see any schools move from higher to lower? Because I'm obviously hearing about multiple schools that were moving up, but nobody's been addressed as moving down. Did we have some schools move down to kind of level it out, or are we going to end up having a bunch of gigantic upper level regions and some 2 and 3 teams playing by themselves down low?
Yeah, you saw a few schools move down some classes. I would say more of that kind of happened at the, maybe 3 and 2A level. You saw a school, like I mentioned earlier, Abbeville went from 2A to 1A. A school around here like Clinton, they went down from 3A to 2A. Trying to think, Chester went 3A to 2A. So kind of in that level, you saw some movement down where schools that more rural community schools that don't see a lot of kids coming in from outside of their zone, their numbers obviously stayed pretty true, weren't really hit by the multiplier. So they would move down in a few cases for sure. So, but as far as the big boys, you didn't see any 4 and 5A guys really move down, I would say.
All right, last one before we let you go. You guys on your Twitter handle a handful of days ago pointed out that there was the potential for a coaching move here in the area, and it comes out a few days later. That is the case. Jersey Joe has texted the show and said, what do you think of Greg Porter leaving Greenville for Lawrence?
Porter's a great coach. I mean, Greg has won everywhere he's been, whether that's Southside, then at Hillcrest, he won a state title there, and then now at Greenville, winning 45 games over the past 5 years. I mean, that's a heck of a resume there. A really good coach. The players love him. I mean, you saw, yesterday or 2 days ago when he got officially announced, you saw a lot of players kind of doing almost like the college and pro level thing where they're putting out pictures of their coach saying, thanks for all this, coach. Like, just to see, how much they respected him and loved playing for him was really cool. He's a winner, a proven winner. He's done a great job everywhere he's been. I said Lawrence is a program that's been kind of down in the dump. I think won 2 games last year. Have not been really competitive the last few years in Lawrence County down there. I think he's going to do a good job. Obviously, it's a rebuild. It may take a year or 2 to get that done. So we'll see how quickly he can make it happen. But I think it's a great hire for Lawrence. Great move for the Raiders there.
Kevin Thomas from the Moving the Chains podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Big Dog, good to have you outside of football season. Once we kind of get our everything else settled down and move closer to the season, we'll get you back in, Big Dog.
For sure, man. Let me know. So regions come out this week, and we'll have a better idea of hopefully how they're going to break out the 5A playoff brackets, but we'll see.
Let's do it. Kevin Thomas, you can follow them on all the social media at Moving Chains. Appreciate him. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, big fella. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming by, bud.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you as always.
I'll give you a buzz later on today.
Sounds good. See you, Rob. See you, Lonzo.
See you. All right, guys, we're going to step away for just a minute. We'll be right back.
Philo Beto? Wow.
Three streams at once, so everyone can watch what they want at the same time. Throw in the unlimited DVR that saves all my favorites for up to a year, and this really is the best deal in TV. I just wish I hadn't waited so long. Sound too good to be true? Well, try it out for yourself, and you'll see why people who love TV love Philo.
Apparently, The Rock and Triple H opened the New York Stock Exchange yesterday.
I saw a picture afterwards of them both, standing there.
Hey, it's Charlie James. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knee or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that.
There's a clip from New Heights out, and Kelsey is explaining his thermometers and judging about how cold it is.
His thermometers.
That's what they call them, and it's very accurate. So, yes.
I went back and watched some clips of when they had Andy Reid on, I guess, last year or something. And Kelsey was like, "Coach, when did you realize I couldn't play quarterback?" Andy Reid was like, "Before I met you." Like, he just dropped bombs on him.
Don't miss out on limited time appliance deals during the closeout event at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off.
That would be very illegal, P. Digits. Actually, yeah, no, I think it would be insider trading, right? I think they have to divest themselves first. I don't do.
Yeah, I think you would be right. I don't think you can do that.
I don't do money things.
Maybe reach out to Martha Stewart and ask her. She probably could tell you if it's good or wrong. She might be practicing her katana right now. So, the Godmother. What?
Coming up, we will have the debate, the very best coach in the state of South Carolina. It comes down to two, but boy, is that a tight battle between D and D.
we will have Truth Serum, and did the MLB Hall of Fame get it right?
Number one for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the Fan.
Upstate.
The digits are lisping, or are you making fun of DC? I don't know which one it is.
I will say it as I said it before the MLB Hall of Fame vote came out. Andrew Jones deserves to be in. Okay? And that's it to me. Andrew Jones deserves to be in. I think that's something I've been wondering what has been bothering me about the Hall of Fame voting. And there's a lot of different things. I've told you the Baseball Writers Association is the most self-important group of nerds in sports, and I'm including me and Lonzo in that.
You know why he's not in? Because he spells his first name weird. They're not going to put someone. It's supposed to be an EW at the end. They can't put that guy in.
They absolutely can, and they absolutely should. 7th time in 7 years that Andrew Jones did not get in. 61.6%. I think he was like 5 or 6 votes shy of getting in.
Was he a steroid guy? I don't remember any of that kind of problems with him. Yeah.
He was not. Here's what's interesting about this. A lot of the writers, if you go listen to their interviews or read their stuff after their votes come in, a lot of them have a lot of different justifications for why they do and don't vote for a guy. And for the record, I don't have any issue with allowing people directly connected to the game to vote on if guys get in or don't. I just think we should spread it out a little bit, right? Like maybe 100 sports writers, 100 players, and maybe players from different generations, right? Like 100 players that played in the 90s, 100 that played in the 80s, 100 that played in the 2000s, 100 that played in the 2010s. So you have a bunch of different voices spread out across the voting. But the more I thought about why it is I'm so specifically aggravated about Andrew Jones is this, because a lot of they are looking for milestones, right? They're looking for milestones. They're looking for guys who hit that 500 home run mark. They're looking for guys who hit the 3,000 hit mark. They're looking for guys, if you're off the bump, who are a 300 game winner, etc. Andrew Jones ended his career with 434 home runs, 1,933 hits. But I would also like to point out that over the last couple of years, you have seen a not necessarily downturn of offense. I think you've seen an uptick in pitching, right? I was watching the other day. This blew my mind. I was watching the other day. Somebody put a 25,000 FPS camera, a super slow-mo camera, on the release point of a pitcher. And then they had him throwing different pitches. And you could see, the ball was spinning super slow. And you could see the fingers move as they left the baseball, pardon me. And I thought, like a technology and how much of an advantage it is for new age guys, specifically pitchers, right? When you can get all the way down to seeing that on that circle changeup that you just threw, your middle finger, which is supposed to be on the lace, was just 1/8 of an inch to the right of it. And that can make the difference in the break or not, right? The technological changes have made pitchers better than they've ever been before, more effective than they have ever been before. Going into this season, which starts up in about a month and a half, 2 months, I think, and a little over 2 months. Going into 2024, the active leaders in hits, home runs, and wins are Joey Votto with 2135 hits, Giancarlo Stanton with 402 home runs, and Justin Verlander with 257 wins. That means that the entire season will be played without any members of the 3,000 hit, 500 home run, or 300 win clubs appearing on a roster. The last time that happened was 1977. The last time before that was 1948. Since 1948, this will be just the third Major League Baseball season where we did not have a 3,000 hit guy, a 500 dinger guy, or a 300 game winner in Major League Baseball. The game is more difficult than it has ever been before. The athletes are more athletic than they've ever been before. And the game is more global than it has ever been before. So you are facing better competition every year than you were the year before that. So to judge these guys based on those numbers and those numbers alone, I think creates situations where a guy like Andruw Jones, who was phenomenal. He was 19 years old when he debuted for the Braves. 3 postseason home runs, including 2 in the 96 World Series. Willie Mays once said that Andruw Jones was, quote, the best I'd ever seen, end quote. The numbers are ridiculous. From 96 through the 07 season, Jones batted .263, .342, .497, 368 home runs, 1,117 RBIs. Oh, and by the way, that's just from the dish. He also won 10 Gold Gloves. If you put all of those numbers together, he joins a group that includes these names: Andruw Jones, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, and Ken Griffey Jr. You know what the difference is between Andruw Jones and those names? All the other ones are in the Hall of Fame. Andruw Jones is in a group that has Mays, Clemente, and Griffey Jr., and he's not in yet. That's a shame. There is one other guy who has those numbers. There is one other guy who makes that club. Ichiro Suzuki, who goes on the ballot for the first time next year and will be a first ballot guy, without a doubt. Andruw Jones was not just a slugger, and he was a slugger, but what he lacked in terms of, making the 500 club or the 3,000 hit club, he made up for by being one of the best defensive center fields of all time. The guy was unbelievable. Now, I'm going to tell you why I think, besides the numbers, Andruw Jones isn't in. Andruw Jones hit a peak. From 98 through 07, he averaged 34 home runs, 103 RBIs, a 266 average, a 504 slugging average, and won a Gold Glove in every single one of those seasons. Then we got to 2007. The last 6 seasons of his career, Jones was not nearly as good. In fact, was all but forced out of the league by 2013. And I've heard, or at least read, some writers going, the fact that he fell off when he got to be 30 is the reason they can't put him in. And I understand that, except for he debuted at 19. This isn't a guy who came in at 23, 24, spent a bunch of time in the minors, played a remarkable 6-year career, and then fell off. No. This is a guy who debuted at 19, who entered the starting lineup at 18 in 1997, and then spent 1 year as a reserve player who was pretty good, who spent 12 years as a starter, played in 1,730 out of a possible 1,780. He missed Over that entire time, he missed 52 games. 52 games. 52 games. Out of 12 seasons, he missed 52 games. He had another 67 postseason games tossed in there as well. So if you include postseason games, dude did not, if you include postseason games, he played more postseason games than he missed over that time. Oh, and during that time where he was averaging 147 games a season in center field from age 19 through age 30, he carried that team to multiple divisional championships as well. If he checked in at 23 years old and fell off at 30, then I'd understand that take. He checked in at 19 or 18, technically. I don't know what you want from the guy. This dude has numbers, and what numbers he lacks when it comes to the offensive pop, he more than made up for by winning 10 Golden Gloves during the 12 years where he was a Hall of Fame caliber player. Joey B popped up, said Todd Helton in over Andrew Jones is just wrong. Helton was a good player, but away from the thin air of Colorado, he was just above an average hitter. That's 100% correct. Now, he was good away from Coors, but at Coors, he was a masher. Everywhere else, he was not. And he even said that. The ball breaks harder off a pitcher's hand away from Colorado. It flies further in Colorado than it does anywhere else. Todd Helton getting in with his numbers, as opposed to Andrew Jones getting in with his, is a crime against baseball. And these are the decisions. These are the decisions that make people hate the Baseball Writers Association of America. It's this. This is the reason. We got to take a break. We come back. We wrap up with one more segment. We call it a Wednesday. We move on. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate.
Gunther has tweeted the video of him talking to Seth Rollins saying, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble this Sunday, 2 a.m. CET.
Like that.
What is CET? It's probably your...
His people are in.
Yeah.
They're 10-9 overall, 4-2 in the Southern Conference. Sanford 6-0 in the conference. Winners in 17 straight. They're 17-2 overall. Big win last night for South Carolina. The Gamecocks upset number 6 Kentucky 79-62. The Panthers have hired Dan Morgan as their general manager and president of football operations. He played linebacker for the team for 7 seasons and rejoined the franchise in 2021 as the assistant to then GM Scott Fitterer, who was fired in January on the heels of a 2-15 season. Morgan joined the Panthers as a first-round pick out of Miami in the 2001 draft. NHL tonight, big test for the Hurricanes on the road at Boston. The Fan Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins basketball play-by-play live all season long. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash of the Fan Upstate.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Are you the decision maker in your company? Do you want more control over your business spending? Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management platform designed to save you time and money. Ramp offers unlimited corporate cards with spend controls you can customize to stop wasteful spending before it happens. Ramp makes expense reports a breeze by automatically collecting receipts and matching them to the right transaction. You'll close your books in hours instead of days. Ramp allows you to see all of your company's spend in one place, so you can make quick, informed decisions about your business finances. Plus, Ramp will share insights based on your spending to help you cut costs. Over 15,000 businesses have added up to 5% of their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. ramp.com/free.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
I'm going to have to
interactive lessons.
The pod for this hour will take a little bit longer because that button was off again. So
No worries.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's BABBEL.com. Start learning a language today at babbel.com.
Hey everybody, it's Boomer Esiason here, and eBay Motors has everything you need to keep your ride or die alive. From superchargers, brakes, exhaust kits.
Bingo, Joey B. Bingo.
eBay Motors levels your baby up to its peak performance, and with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Lowe's knows pros want savings now. That's why, as an MVP's Pro Rewards member, you get volume savings on orders of $1,500 or more at the Pro Desk. And there's more. We've lowered our prices on select top products like electrical wire and drywall, so you can get the job necessities for less. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. In-store only. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, The Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free Odyssey app. CBS Sports Radio.
Wrapping up this edition of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we'll be joined by Rashad Beard, back in his normal time tomorrow of 8:20, unless, card always subject to change. But Rashad should be back at 8:20. At 9:20 in the final hour of the show, it'll be time for Fight Club as we get set up and ready for the Royal Rumble. In my opinion, the best event of the season. I love it. It is my favorite.
Hardest one to predict, even for someone like you who does really well at picking.
It is. I've got my thought. I've got the guy I'm going
so
with.
many narratives going into this. So,
I'm really interested to see what they do tomorrow, because there are really probably 4, 5 different dudes that have a story that you kind of have to give them the briefcase to, or you kind of have to give them the main event in order for them to be able to get all the way to where they've set you up to go.
Unless it ends in controversy, which we'll talk about tomorrow.
Yes, we will.
Which could happen.
Fight Club 9:20 tomorrow morning. Rashad Beard, an hour before that at 8:20 tomorrow. We will also start up our NBA Power Rankings tomorrow because it's basketball season. My dudes.
Not yet. Got a couple more weeks before it's truly basketball season.
I'm a multitasker, buddy.
Look at you.
Ain't no off season. So we'll talk about that. Looking forward to it. It is going to be a good show tomorrow. You know what? I don't care, Alonzo. We're a minute early.
I just want to, before I hit the thing, I just want to point out that you can hear Rob Brown's debut as color guy for Furman tonight.
That is
for
true.
The next couple games. You make sure you tune in 6:30 right here on Fan Upstate.
Yeah, looking forward to that, man. That's going to be
Who's
fun.
Furman taking on?
Furman will be at home against Samford tonight. No?
Wofford.
That's right. I said that earlier. Yeah,
you did.
Samford is Saturday. Wofford tonight on the road.
No, see, Samford is tonight. You confused me.
I just said that.
Yeah, I know Samford is tonight because I put it on
You
the
wrote,
schedule. Yeah, I wrote the schedule. Yeah, it's Samford tonight.
Yeah, it's Samford tonight. I'll be on color. And then on Saturday, on the road at Wofford, and I will be on color for that one as well.
I apologize for the ineptitude of both of us. I mean,
let's be real. If you listen to the show, you're used to it by now.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time to ask Rob what the X is going on, and he's gonna let us know. All right, the first thing that's Xing is John Belushi.
John Belushi, who, by the way, I very much put up there with John Goodman in the list of all-time greats.
Belushi, so much better than Goodman.
Belushi was top-notch. To this day, if you can see a guitar and not want to just start wrecking it against every wall in the house, you're doing better than me.
It also proves that you could be unsober in everything you do and still be successful, I guess.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Oh, Animal House, such a classic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What am I? Mashed potatoes. Today would have been his birthday. He would have been 75.
Man. John Belushi, take it away. Dude was a comedy. Without Belushi, like, we miss a whole genre of comedy that produced guys like Chris Farley down the line.
And is Saturday Night Live still on the air today, whether you think it should be or not, without Belushi and all those guys from that first season?
Belushi and Aykroyd. Me and Tom, my bassist, did Blues Brothers as a Halloween costume one night. Belushi and Aykroyd made.
Which one were you?
Come on, man.
I mean, I don't know.
Elwood, baby.
Okay, all right. Did you break out the harmonica? I've heard you play before. It's amazing.
We played all 80s music dressed as the Blues Brothers. It was pretty spectacular.
Oh, that's cool.
Belushi goat. Hey, what am I? A zit. Get it?
All right. The next thing that's Xing is Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond. Neil Diamond, of course. Listen, I was introduced to Neil Diamond by not Leonard Skinner, by somebody else had a Neil Diamond reference in one of their songs. It doesn't matter. Loved Neil Diamond.
See, you're thinking Neil Young and Neil Young
I was.
and Neil Diamond, two totally different guys.
Yeah. No, there is somebody who had a Neil, like a song that responded to a Neil Diamond song.
Yeah, Neil Diamond, I don't think had a song controversial at all. I mean, he also wrote the majority, I believe, in the beginning of the Monkees songs. So, that made the most annoying song list, by the way.
Responsible
which it should be, because "Bomb Bomb Bomb" was never a lyric that he wrote.
So good.
Leave other people's songs alone. You didn't write it. Stop it.
Responsible for the most beloved
Annoying.
white guy sing-along song of all
Annoying.
time.
It's the most annoying. All right, he's 83 today, by the way. All right, the next thing that's Xing. We got time for AJ Lee.
So does she show up Saturday? Punk's back. They're an item. I got to tell you,
They're not. They've been married for a while, so yeah, I guess
they're an item.
I guess they're an item. I
A
guess
long-term item, but an item nonetheless.
Okay, all right. I'd never really thought about
I
it
can
that
see
way. but
AJ popping up as a surprise entry.
he has talked about her training and stuff, but she's running the Women of Wrestling thing. But they've allowed other crossovers. Mickey James was on there when she was with AEW and
No.
things like
She was
that.
with Impact.
Was she Impact?
Yeah, she was
Okay, all right.
Impact Women's Champion at the time.
Yeah, she's never been with AEW.
Yeah.
My bad. And finally, Michael Cole is Xing.
Michael Cole's going to have himself a damn weekend this weekend.
He's going to be busy.
Yes, he is.
That's why he's Xing.
Yes, he is.
Because he will be announcing SmackDown also.
SmackDown, both Rumbles.
Because your boy's gone. As we talked about yesterday, Kevin Patrick being gone.
Hey, Triple H, if you need another guy,
I'm
I'm right here.
You know, apparently JR doesn't have a contract at the moment.
JR's not moving on. We'll see. That's it, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll try harder. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. Oh, man. What a day, guys. What a day. Well, I now get to go once again, just blow away a client with my wit, charm, and charisma. And then to go home and watch multiple Furman Paladins games to get all caught up. And then it's on. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Well, I look like